You know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
And we are live. Greetings to our loyal WFYL listeners around the world. Welcome back to your Philadelphia live stream, only on the Freedom Station. I want to thank each and every you for having and the right to word. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike G. As always, with me are Philly Chris, Russ, the producer, and Liberty Leigh. And you're listening to Mike G in the morning with The Law Matters. And you can listen to our program every Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. So let's be heard. I want to remind our listeners that you can participate in the free and open exchange of thoughts and ideas throughout the entire week by visiting MikeGinTheMorning.com. What's it called, Philly Chris?
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
How about you, Russ?
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
Liberty, are you there?
MikeGinTheMorning.com.
You can check out all the shenanigans that Mike G and Philly Chris are up to throughout the entire week and visit our social media profiles. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your barber, tell your Uncle Jerry, tell anybody who'll listen to check us out at MikeGinTheMorning.com. I also want to remind our listeners about the powerhouse lineup we've got here at the Freedom Station. Kick off your mornings with Scott Adams, bringing you the Scott Adams Show weekdays from 9 a.m. until 11. We've got Dan the Man Bongino, bring you the Dan Bongino Show weekdays from noon until 3 p.m. He is the headliner. We've got Ben Shapiro, bring you the Ben Shapiro Show weekdays from 3 to 5 p.m. And finally, we love having him at the Freedom Station family. We've got Michael Knowles, bringing you the Michael Knowles Show weekdays from 5 to 6 p.m. So don't forget to tune in and show him some love. And with that, you know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Hit it, Russ.
You know what time it is. Buckle up and enjoy the ride.
We've got very big news in the political world over these last couple of days. Trump announcing his candidacy for president in 2024 has announced that he will, in fact, run, not an exploratory committee. The fact that he is running for president in 2024. And a lot of people are going to have a lot of opinions on this, both on the right and on the left. We know what a polarizing character he has been since he threw his hat into the ring for the 2016 presidential primaries. It's interesting to take a look at what will be the differences between this run and between his run that was successful in 2016. First of all, one thing that I did notice, you go back and you look at what people as a whole thought about Donald Trump leading up to this. We do know that people liked him before he got into politics. People on the left and on the right had a high opinion of him in several regards before he stepped into politics. And of course, he always had people who didn't like him because of business dealings and things of that nature. But a lot of people seem to only have this hatred and vitriol for him once he came out as running for president and particularly running as a Republican. One thing I will tell you will be dramatically different this time than in 2016. If you notice back to 2016, there seemed to be a little bit of a turning point where some people started to relate to Trump a little bit more. I believe at first the media was dismissing this as a joke. Nobody thought he had a chance to win the nomination, let alone the presidency. And every single week, the media would come out, or people on the left would come out, even people on the right would come out. The mainstream rhinos, as we call them, Republicans in name only, would talk about how there was no way that Donald Trump would ever win the nomination because he wasn't a politician. He wasn't one of them. He wasn't in that club. But turns out that's what a lot of people liked about him at that point in time. So every week when they said he was out, he was done, he wouldn't be the nominee, his numbers would only grow and grow. And soon he was the last one standing. And then when it came time for the general election, they said he didn't have a prayer in the world. And as time went on, Hillary Clinton hardly even campaigned for certain periods. She wasn't out there on the road talking to people. Figured she had it in the bag. And there were magazine covers declaring her Madam President before the election was over.
Mm-hmm.
There were celebrations that were all set up. Hillary Clinton made tweets that were proclaiming that she was the future president. And it didn't work out that way. It didn't quite happen that way. So, what led to that result in 2016? There were some mainstream media appearances, particularly like Saturday Night Live. When you watch Trump on Saturday Night Live leading up to the 2016 presidential election, where I believe that appearance humanized him in many ways to a lot of people. He came off as a likable guy, relatable. He was self-deprecating. There's that one video in particular where he's singing the song. I think it's a Drake song that they're recovering. And Liberty might have to help me out with this. They used to call me on the cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
And you have Trump dressed up like an accountant and doing a funny dance with the glasses on and everything like that. And everybody on all sides said that is hysterical. Made people like him just a little bit more. There was an appearance on Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Fallon took a tremendous amount of grief for this, where he certainly humanized Trump. They were sitting there, they were joking around, laughing. And towards the end of the interview, Fallon says, "I have a request. Can I smush your hair?" And everything we know about Donald Trump being this sort of vain person for how many decades would lead you to believe that he'd say, no, absolutely not. But he said, I'm going to pay for this, but go ahead. And Jimmy leans over and he messes up his hair and he looks ridiculous and everybody's laughing, having a good time. I think those sort of moments that were on national television made him relatable, made him a little more likable to some people. And that may have been what pushed him over in that election. You do know that there were a lot of people who didn't want to say that they were interested in him because of the hatred that he was getting. And those people became the silent majority on election night. We're not going to see that this time around. The fact of the matter is there is zero chance that in this 2024 run that he ends up on Saturday Night Live or on Jimmy Fallon or any mainstream media outlets, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's going to be an incredibly difficult challenge for him. Sure, his base is always going to be loyal to him, but maybe not. So I'm going to throw a poll out there. I know that in our Mike G in the Morning family, there are plenty of folks who voted for Trump in 2016 and perhaps in 2020. So my question is, Trump is running in 2024. Would you vote for him? The answers are yes, no, or yes, but not in the primaries, meaning he is not your first choice on the Republican side. But if he is the nominee, then you will certainly vote for him. I'm going to throw that out there right now. So everybody cast your vote. We got plenty of loyal listeners checking in right now. We've got Stacks. Give him a hey now, Billy Chris.
Hey now, Stacks. Hey now.
We got Rita checking in. Give Rita hey now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rita, hey now.
Hey now. Hey now. Scott checking in. Give Scott a hey now.
Scott, welcome back. Hey now.
Hey now, Scott. How about Dag Nabbit? Give Dag Nabbit a hey
Dag
now.
Nabbit coming at you live. Hey now.
Hey now. Hey now. How about Len Larson? Give him a hey now. Len!
We love Len. Hey now,
We
Len.
love
Hey
Len.
now.
We love all the Lens. All three
We love
Lens.
them all. We love everybody. And Eric.
Eric joining in.
Hey now.
Give Eric a hey now. Hey now.
Hey now.
We got Stacks of the comments over here. Says Trump, the vaccine salesman, not trying to be combative, but he still touts it as an accomplishment.
Interesting point.
I think that a lot of the general population objectively would have considered that an accomplishment. That's got to be difficult. I would consider that difficult if you had a goal in mind, right? If this percentage of the population were saying, hey, we've got this disease that's really crippling the economy, it's hurting people physically, then what do we do about it? And all that we were told was once we have a vaccine, then this will all be much better. So puts together Operation Warp Speed. And of course, what the professionals were saying is there's no way that it would get done in that period of time, right?
Of course.
So
it's like the
they said
ventilator
there's no
stuff
way,
too, right?
No way it'll be done. I think Fauci said it's going to take years before they have anything that's viable. And then not only does it get done, but it's being touted by your opponents as this great, wonderful thing, right? And you're supposed to say, no, never mind.
Yeah.
That would be tough.
Yeah, it's a mess, you know.
That would certainly be tough. So I could get where that's coming from.
It'd be interesting to hear, you know, what he has to say about it now, retrospectively, and with all the new and additional information we have out there about it. But
About the zucchini.
yeah, exactly. You know, about the
Yeah,
actual
zucchini.
performance of it and the adverse
Now we're
whatever,
talking
you know.
zucchini stuff. I think
The
when
zucchini,
I said the V word, I think that
right.
it was acceptable and appropriate in terms of
Yes.
the guidelines.
Yeah.
We want to stick to those guidelines. So from here on out, once we
Yeah.
get into Philly Chris territory, it's got to be
Mhm.
zucchini.
Yeah, we're talking about the garden.
Guys, the V word is just a cooked zucchini. That's all.
It's a
It's all
cooked
good.
zucchini.
Cooked zucchini. There you go.
I was just letting the internet know what we were talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. They're just
Is the
tuning in.
zucchini really a zucchini, though? I read something the other day about how the meaning of the word changed over the last several years
Oh yeah.
because it had to do initially with prevention of getting a disease, then
Mhm.
immunity, and
How they
then
changed the
it
definition, you mean?
probably increases chances of survival. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they did do that.
the
That's my
stacks.
understanding.
My only thing about the vaccine is that what choice did he have at the time? All information we had was that people in Italy were dying by the thousands and that it caused severe pneumonia and people are going on ventilators. Like, so I think he just did what he had to do.
There was no winning in that situation. I think we could all agree with that. No matter what he did, they're going to say, I screwed it all up. Look what this guy did.
That was when he officially got tired of winning, I guess.
And he got tired of it. Look at him. He screwed it all up.
I mean, he's not a doctor, so I look at it from that standpoint. But yeah, it's such a mess. But he got hoodwinked like, you know, most people did, I guess.
I'm a doctor.
He has
Well, Russ is.
Not
Yeah.
the medical kind.
What kind?
The doctor kind. I'm a
The
doctor.
doctor kind.
I'm a doctor. That's Mr. Doctor Professor to you.
You're a proctologist.
Only if that
So
includes
Scott
removing
says
kids
something.
from
Let's
people's
see how our
blood.
poll is doing over here. We only got 62% yes, 12% no,
Oh, really?
and 25% say yes, but not in the primaries.
Huh.
Wow, that is not an overwhelming show of support
That's
for
interesting.
Donald Trump in 2024. This is what I can guarantee you is that life will be more interesting with Donald Trump running for president in 2024. Yep. That is what I can guarantee everybody who's listening, whether you like him or not. You cannot say that you will not be entertained and that your life will not be more interesting while he's running for president. You can't say that. You cannot look me in the eye. You cannot look me in the eye and say that your life is not more interesting while Donald Trump is running for president or is the president.
It's like
Agreed?
Hulk Hogan's coming back.
That's right.
More tan than ever.
Yeah, WrestleMania. That's funny. No, you make a good point, though, Mike. It's going to be interesting.
So you had a prediction a while back that it's going to be Trump versus Hillary in the general election. Do you stand by that?
I stand by that. I just, for some reason, that's what I envision this turning into, because I think that, you know, on the left, who else could they really put up against him? And I think she still wants to get in the mix. And, you know, there's still the whole, you know, first woman president, unless we see Kamala get in there at some point. But I just, that's sort of what I envision happening. So we'll see. Could be totally wrong. But
well, I will say that Dick Morris recently came out and predicted the same thing. So I don't know if he copied it off of you.
Probably. I know he watches the show a lot, so probably.
Dick Morris is following Philly Chris on
That's
Twitter.
right.
That's what it comes down to.
Probably what it is. I'll have to reach out to him. Yeah,
he stole it.
I'll have our people reach out to his people.
What other wild Philly Chris theories is Dick Morris going to come out and support next? What do you think? Be honest with yourself. What's the most wild thing that you have ever thought was true and then later found out maybe that wasn't exactly on point?
Give me a little bit more information. You mean about?
I don't have one in mind. I'm asking you to engage in some personal reflection here, because I know you don't believe that you've been right 100% of the time for your entire life? Do you?
Like 110%.
110%?
No, I was just kidding. Of course.
I could tell you where I was
Yeah, yeah,
wrong.
yeah, yeah.
I came
No,
on
I'm
here
just
last
kidding.
week, and when I
Yeah.
made my prediction, I said that Shapiro was going to win for governor,
Right.
and
Right.
that Dr. Oz was going to win in the Senate, and that did not happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I've heard about it from a lot of people. And my predictions
Have
are
you?
garbage nonsense. When we talked in the months leading up to the election, my prediction was that anybody who ran against Fetterman was going to get smoked, period. Because I
Mhm.
know how popular that guy is in Pennsylvania. He
Right.
just is. He's got a Trumpian thing about him in terms of attitude and relatability, things of that nature.
I saw a lot of
Right?
signs for him out there, especially in my area. Yeah. But hearing him speak in the debate, it's like, come on, like again, it's
Well,
but then again,
that's when my prediction changed.
yes, right.
That's when my
right.
prediction changed.
Mhm.
But my prediction was wrong. I was wrong.
Well,
I
you're-
also
you're a
said that
good
at
man
least
for admitting it,
Pennsylvania
yeah.
has the legislature. At least in Pennsylvania, the Republicans had the legislature. And
Right.
it's looking like that may not be the case either. I don't think
Yeah.
it's been officially called yet, but the Democrats may take control of the House in Pennsylvania at the state level,
Interesting. Right.
although
Right.
Republicans at the federal level have taken control of the House.
Mhm.
At the state level, it's very interesting. The Democrats came out about a week ago and said, we won the House. And a lot of the elections had not been called yet. And the Republicans were winning in some of them by very, very close margins. And none of the media outlets were calling the races for the Democrats. But for whatever reason, the Democrats came out there, they held a press conference, said, we've taken control of the House. I don't believe it's even still, as of right now, been 100% settled.
Yeah,
It's
I'm not
very,
exactly
very
sure where it is,
difficult,
but-
unfortunately, to find articles and things of that nature when it comes to the legislative races at the state level. It's much more difficult to find results on those elections than
Yeah.
at the federal level.
Not as much information out there. It's funny how disengaged people are, really, I guess.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens with that.
Mhm.
So
What-
where were we? You were supposed to do some self-reflection, sir. I talked about when I was wrong.
Right.
What's the most wild thing that you said that later found out maybe that wasn't exactly true?
On the
'Cause
show?
you may, or no, just in
Oh,
general.
in general?
If you're willing to share, unless
I'm
you've
trying
got
to
something.
think. I'm trying to think of something. And it's not because I'm not trying to. I'm just trying to.
He's never wrong.
No. I'm wrong.
I'm just kidding.
I'm not saying that.
This would be a bad job interview. You ever go to a job
Yeah, I
interview?
know,
and you're
right?
like,
Well,
tell
this
me
is really-
something. Tell me about a time you did something wrong.
That's right.
And the people
Yeah.
who are really prepared are like, oh, I
Right.
worked too hard.
Exactly.
I care
it's
too
like-
much about my job.
Tell me something about yourself. you'd like
Sometimes
to
I get
improve.
pissed off when people don't want to work on Saturday and Sunday nights.
I'll be here all the time. Man. You don't have to pay me
Yeah,
overtime. Yeah.
And it just comes off as totally disingenuous.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
But then other times, if you get caught off guard, you're like, oh man, listen, I'm not saying I never did anything wrong. I just can't think of anything right now. I try not to let that live on loop in my head all day and all night
Exactly.
about the time I did something wrong. I remember that one time somebody asked me that, and it had been something that had severely bothered me.
Yeah.
Is, I was working at the law firm, and that was my first office job. I was a ball player, so all of my work to that point, other than like painting houses and working at a cigar lounge, I did a bunch of different jobs. I never really had an office job like that. So when I
Yeah.
worked at the law firm, there was some package that needed to go and get sent out. It was one of those larger envelopes. And I
Mhm.
didn't quite understand how to weigh it and use the postage and everything.
Okay.
So I just threw a few stamps on there and figured that should be good to go.
Did it come back? Or
And it came back. I looked like an idiot.
something?
I looked like an
like,
idiot. I
who the
missed
hell
the
did that?
stamp class in law school. I'm sorry. I missed the postage class in law school. I failed that one. I was sick that day.
they didn't have a whole semester. You had to spend like 10 grand on to figure that out. Here's the scale, future lawyer.
Yeah. Well, that's the one. So that's always at the forefront of my mind. So I did have, when I was interviewing out of law school for a position, they're like, tell me about something that you did wrong. I was like, I'm such a total moron. You'll never believe what I did. I've still never forgiven myself to this day.
The mail came back. You wouldn't believe it.
You have no idea how stupid I am. I curse myself out in the mirror every single night because that was the dumbest thing that any person on the planet has ever done. And they're like, all right,
Oh,
chill
that's
out, guy.
You're
It's not
hired.
that big of a deal. We actually
right.
hire some guy to do that at our firm, so you won't be touching that stuff.
Yeah, you don't have to go down the mailroom. You're good with that. That's
So
funny.
tell us about a time that you got a prediction wrong horribly.
I'm trying to think. Actually, here, I think Scott just answered it for me. Thank you, Scott Frey. It says, the only time Chris was wrong was the one time he thought he was wrong.
I thought I was wrong once, but then I realized I made a
I
mistake.
wasn't so wrong after all. Yeah, see? No, I've definitely been wrong. Can you think of something that jumps
Can I
out?
think of something?
Yeah.
You can't think of it.
I'm just trying to think of something like I've said on the show or something I predicted that wasn't quite right.
I can.
Yeah.
I can, but
Can
I
you?
don't know if it's public or private.
Oh, okay.
Can I talk
Right.
about the very beginning of the pandemic? Can I talk
Oh
about
yeah,
that?
absolutely. Yeah, actually, that's a good
Okay.
example because I did buy into the propaganda at that time. So
Okay.
that's a good example. Yeah, yeah.
So
Go ahead.
we're talking on the phone. We and Chris
Yeah.
and I would have these late night conversations. We're in lockdown, right?
Careful.
Right.
So we're talking like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm being careful. I'm not going to use any major words or anything
Yeah.
like that. But
You can
Chris
give
was
everybody
telling-
my social security number if you want.
He was saying, "Hey, listen about, hey, I'm hearing really bad things about this turnip thing, man.
Right, right.
You don't understand that they're going to open up these stadiums. There's going to be bodies stacked up to the ceiling because of this turnip. There's going to be people dead in the middle of the streets, and they're not even have the opportunity to get cleaned up. And this is not my opinion, Mike. These are facts. These are facts. This is not my
I
opinion.
don't know if I
Mike.
said they were facts, but I maybe
You literally
Did I
said
say-
word for word because
I say
that
this-
became the tagline that I wanted to put on a T-shirt.
Okay.
This is not my opinion, Mike.
Well, I do
These
say
are
this is not my.
facts.
I think I
This
often
is not
say
my
it's
opinion.
based
These
on the
are facts.
professional opinion of these, so-called experts who,
Well, here's the thing: is that you were looking at numbers from all of these different
Yeah,
counters and
we even did
everything
some
like
readouts
that. And you
on the
said
show,
if this is correct, then this would be the end result, right?
Right.
So the problem is when you're analyzing data like that, because that's what you've been trained to do your entire career, is that if you get some bad numbers somewhere along the way, it ruins the rest of the analysis, doesn't it?
Garbage in, garbage out, which we saw a lot of during this whole thing, and we're still seeing it. Only now is some of the true numbers really coming out, but it's too late. They already got what they wanted. So,
how many people were disappointed with the gubernatorial election? Because Randy says Mastriano ran a crap campaign. Simple as that. For every one Mastriano ad on TV or radio, there were 10 Shapiro ads. That's 100% correct.
Their funding is
100%
ridiculous, though. Did you guys see the thing? It actually just made me think of this whole thing with that crypto exchange thing. Did you guys see that?
With
All that
FTX?
money that was
with
in that
FTX?
one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the guy ended up dead on the beach, but literally like billions of trillions, whatever it was.
Wait, dead on the
dollars.
beach?
Yeah, that guy that was a multi-billionaire in the FTX, he's dead now.
Oh,
But
Wait,
they were also
the guy
linked to
who just got caught.
Let me go back and pull it up because I think I have it on my phone just to make sure I'm saying the right thing.
I feel like
Anybody
this
else
is
hear about
wrong.
that?
Nobody's dead.
Yeah, right. Hold on a second. I think he was on the beach. Let me go back to my folder here. Hold on. Give me a moment.
I still have lots to say about the turnip, but I guess that'll be.
Okay, go ahead. While Philly Chris is
jump in
looking
there while I
for
try to
his wrong
find my
prediction.
Yeah.
I see what Stacks is saying. I hear you, Stacks, but I guess on the other end of it, and I'll stick by it. I got hit with the turnip hardcore. I've never had pneumonia in my entire life, especially as a singer. I have lungs of steel, and it got my lungs bad. And I got pneumonia for the first time in my life. I lost family members. I don't like to use it as like the pull the lost family members card, but it's true. I did know people personally who got pneumonia and really bad in their lungs. It hit the lungs, and flus don't do that always. They do hit you hard, and they can turn that. But I just thought it was a different virus. That's how I feel. And so I'm glad that they're going up against it. Now, I think the media hijacked it. I think they hijacked it and they turned the the zucchini into something that it wasn't. But that's my personal experience. I'm sticking by it. I think Trump did the best he could. I like him. He's Uncle Trump to me always.
Uncle Trump always. For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL.
There we go.
Pyro Mike says he's not quite dead. He's not quite dead. So,
Oh, he's not quite dead.
Was your prediction off?
Um.
Weren't we
I guess
just
it's not
Oh, it
really
was actually a
predictions.
hoax. Was it a hoax? Oh,
Well,
I guess it was a hoax. Look at this. Here we are, President Felix. I saw something the other day pop up, and that's why I'm going back because he'll be dead tomorrow. What's today? Thursday? It's not Friday yet. Yeah, no. It looks like it was some sort of hoax then. Okay. Maybe he faked his own death. Maybe he was trying to.
Isn't that a crime to fake your own death?
I don't know. Probably. Is it, Mike? Do you know? I don't know if that's.
It's got to be a form of fraud.
Fraudulent purposes, right?
Yeah.
Stats says it was different. Taking liberties away from us is not okay ever. But there's a difference between the seriousness of the turnip and the government response to the turnip. I think there's a clear distinction between the two. You might think that the government should not respond the way it did, but that doesn't really have anything to do with whether or not the turnip was serious and there were people who were seriously adversely affected by it. Those are two completely different things.
We had to go through the serious strands of it. Now we're on the lighter strands and just ran its course. But it was I feel like it was one of those diseases could only come from China.
Well, that's something that I think people overlook far too often, though, is the idea, where did this thing come from?
Sure.
Why did it happen? And the debate is about whether or not it's serious and what's the proper cure for it, or the proper, is the zucchini good or bad? And nobody seems to be talking about, wait a second, how did this happen in the first place? And frankly, if there were nefarious intentions behind it, then totally successful, because nobody's looking at that at all, right?
I think some people, people are talking about it, but whether or not anything's being done about it, I mean, I know a lot of people who talk about it. I bet Stax talks about it. I second a lot of what Stax said a minute ago. I mean, I think it's ridiculous what's happened. You guys know I was saying stuff early on, questioning a lot of this. I think it's a lot of it's by design.
What I'm saying is that when you diminish the seriousness of the turnip itself,
sure,
right, that makes it seem like it's not a big deal.
Well, like it's certainly not the big deal.
There were nefarious intentions,
yeah,
and this was something that was done by design and intentionally. Then, well, what's the difference? If it's just another cold, then who cares?
Well, I don't know that
with nefarious intentions.
I mean, in my opinion, I wouldn't say it's that. And to Liberty's point a few moments ago, it affects everybody differently, but it certainly was not what they were claiming it to be. And that's why I said some of the things I said on the air, early on and in our private conversations, because I was looking at the Spanish flu stuff and I was looking at numbers and potential death rates based on what those so-called experts.
Do you think we have 100% knowledge as to what the turnip does today?
No, I don't think we ever will.
I also saw from friends.
Well, because that's the concern with the zucchini, right? I saw this article the other day that said that, now they're doing these studies to see the long-term effects on the heart from zucchini.
It's, right.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, sure. Now it's,
that's a great idea.
Right.
Now that half the country's zucchini.
Yeah, right.
Let's figure out if it might hurt them down the line. So responsible of you. Thank you.
I think it was a bioweapon from China, And actually from friends, I've heard that it affects fetuses, and fetuses come out looking way abnormal than they're supposed to. And so
placentas, I think you're talking about placentas.
Placenta. And there's actually people are studying that now. So if they were going to go after anybody and they go after that, that's where a bioweapon would go after.
I think that, unfortunately, we're never going to know the full truth about much of what's going on. But when you look at the actions and what's taken place, how can you trust any of these officials? On both sides, the fence politically? That's why I'm just so disgusted with all of it. And you know, like Stack was saying a few moments ago, and as I've mentioned for a long time, like the amount of negative impact, you know, on our civil liberties and freedom, especially around here in Philly. I mean, I can't tell you how many places I got kicked out of for not wearing a face diaper that, as we know now, technically doesn't even do what they
potato.
Excuse me, I'm getting a little excited.
There's like
I've
4
had enough of
vegetables
it.
you got to
No,
remember. There's like
I've
4
actually-
vegetables you got to remember.
Right.
Come on.
I've
And
seen
if this was by design, which, you know, personally I feel like it was, I mean, what are they going to do next? I mean, they just tested out humanity, and in my opinion, a good percentage of humanity failed. What would happen next time if they really had something was out there that was way deadlier, let's say?
No, that's sort of I don't know what we want to call it in order to not get banned.
Yeah.
Hypothesis? Can we call it a hypothesis?
Yeah, it's totally right. A hypothesis, right?
Hypothesis.
but I
had a
know that our
hypothesis. Do you remember my hypothesis in the middle of all this?
refresh my memory. I think
I
so,
said,
yeah.
"What if?" And this is more just like, "Oh, this would make a nice movie or something." I don't know. Just so we're clear, everybody, this would make a really interesting movie. I said,
Right.
"What if this were done on purpose?" Right? Meaning the turnip was all by design by a foreign entity,
Sure.
and they prompted the reaction of bring everybody inside. So what happens if everybody goes inside and they have no contact with other human beings for a long
Absolutely.
period
You're
of time?
watching TV.
So what?
You're feeding your mind with everything that's being fed to you, whether it's truth,
But you're also
lie,
not being
propaganda.
exposed to other germs, right?
I think it's weakening your immune system.
Okay, so imagine if that were just the diversion, right? It
Mhm.
was sort of like the red herring. And then once everybody starts to come back out and they're nice and weak, then
Mhm.
they drop the real turnip, like
Yes,
the
right.
turnip 2.0.
Right. I
And
remember
people
you
are the
saying that, yeah.
most vulnerable that they have ever
Absolutely.
been.
Mhm.
And it's just absolutely devastating.
Yeah, right.
But that would be an interesting movie, is what I said.
Yeah. I'm sure
that
we'll
would be an interesting movie.
we'll see it at a theater near you pretty soon. Maybe. Yeah, it's crazy. No, some really good comments out there too. People are chiming in.
So why don't you read off some of them?
All right, let's see. Go back a little bit here. So Denise chimed in there. Yeah, saw it, Philly Chris. Why are we just hearing about all this FTX stuff now? Yeah, and I didn't hear too much about that before. Apparently, it's listed on the World Economic Forum website. I did pull that up, doing a little research on the whole thing, and that's like the crypto that they were actually recommending. Here it is on the World Economic Forum. FTX is a cryptocurrency exchange built by traders for traders. FTX offers innovative products, including industry-first derivatives, options, volatility products, and leveraged tokens.
Is that trader TRAITOR or?
It should be. That's a good point, Mike. I like the way you're thinking. Yeah. It strives to develop a platform robust enough for professional trading firms and intuitive enough for first-time users. So that's interesting that the World Economic Forum had it listed or was recommending it or whatever.
You guys, you want to hear my synopsis of how that went down?
Sure.
Okay.
Get in there, Russ.
So the cryptocurrency, which is supposed to be decentralized, they centralized it. And then they were surprised. Oh no. And it went down. Oh, this decentralized thing that was supposed to be decentralized, we centralized it, and that was a mistake. Whoops.
Well, I don't know the details of it, but apparently people were saying too a lot of money went through that crypto to the party on the left and also Ukraine and things of that nature. So decide for yourself.
Dag Nabbit says Mastriano was one of us. He had no money. That's for sure.
Mm.
Yeah, that's for sure. Certainly had no money. I think he got rejected for funding by all the national gubernatorial Republican campaign organizations. I don't know if
Why would that
just
be?
thought, well, I'm not a political strategist or anything like that. I'm not inside that side of things.
But you're pretty damn smart.
But so what could be the possibilities? If you had to come up with a rational reason that was not nefarious, what would it be? I'd imagine that there are certain races that they say, you know what, our money would be spent better elsewhere. This is not one that can be won realistically. So we're just not going to put money into this election. And sorry, no, we got to spend our money somewhere else where we think that we've got a legitimate shot at making a difference and winning. That
Right.
could be it. I don't know that it was that the margin was going to be that far no matter what, but perhaps that's the conclusion that they reached.
Okay.
And the other thing is, were there people as individuals donating? But Shapiro had a ton of money. If you look at the numbers, the financials of Shapiro versus Mastriano, it's just absolutely incredible the difference between the two. I wish that had that campaign finance record broken in Pennsylvania governor race.
What are you looking at?
Oh, it's no joke. I mean, we all saw it.
Yeah.
100%. I saw he's saying 10-1. Might even been worse than that. Let's see if we can get it. Shapiro outspent Mastriano by 16-1. 16-1. Think about that.
16-1. Yeah, that's crazy.
Mastriano reported spending of less than $3 million. Shapiro reported $44 million in spending. $44 million, and reported having $11 million still in the bank.
That's crazy. I mean, it shows you how ridiculous it is now, too. Like, what do these jobs pay? Yet you're spending almost $50 million to get the job. Like, it's kind of crazy, right? The whole political system.
But he's not spending it out of his own pocket. He's not like Donald Trump funding his own campaign. I'm self-funding my campaign. I wonder if so. That was a big appeal about him the first time around, right? He's not going to do that this time around. Fair to say?
Probably can't. Yeah,
probably not going to be able to say that this time around.
You guys think? What do you think? Do you guys think he's going to win? Have you guys been thinking about it?
Well, you said he's going to win, so I'll go with you.
I'm going to go with that. Okay. Although he didn't sound very good the other night. He didn't sound himself. I don't know if he wasn't feeling well, where they were telling him to take it down a notch, or he was trying to really stick to the script. You know
what? I thought he sounded more like he did leading up to the 2016 election. If you look at the second debate with Hillary,
okay,
when we all woke up smiling for the next 2 days because he said
right.
Because you'd be in jail.
Yeah,
Remember
right. Yeah, that was great.
His demeanor, you could tell he was like holding back. It was his demeanor in that debate. And I think he looked a lot more like that when he announced the other night.
Maybe you could do a poll, like, and see if people think he looked like good or tired, or I don't know what the categories would be, but I'd be interested in seeing what our audience thinks, if you don't mind, Mike. Yeah.
So, what did you like Trump's demeanor?
Yeah, or like, did you feel like he was himself?
Why don't we just ask everybody? Everybody, why don't you say in a word or two what you thought of Trump's demeanor when he announced that he would be running? Say a word or describe in a word or two what you thought of Trump's demeanor when he announced that he'd be running the other night.
Good comments,
go
by the
ahead.
way, too. I've been trying to read the comments, and they're really good.
I know they're blowing past us.
I know. It's a lot of people on tonight, which is awesome. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
So this is a good topic for a call-in show. Would you vote for Trump? Yes, no, why?
That would
maybe
be
we'll just toss it. Maybe we'll just toss it in the today. Why not?
Hey now, Gary. Hey now.
Dag Nabbit says, sorry, didn't watch it. The Finland says, calm, cool, and collected.
Okay.
That's frankly what I thought. Rita said, looked very subdued. That sounds more along
that's
the lines
kind of in line
Chris.
with what I was thinking a bit. Yeah, just something about it wasn't quite right, but I can't imagine the stress and just all the stuff he's had to deal with day in and day out. So I'm amazed he's not more tired or more subdued.
Jeremy says World War III is going to start. We were this close the other day.
People are talking about that. Yeah. It's getting pretty crazy out
there.
Len
Larson says confident yet reserved.
Okay.
That's similar to the impression that I got. Stack says seen a little low energy. Somebody else said that too. I forget who it was. Said low energy.
That popped into my mind, actually. I should have said that. Yeah, because that's exactly what I was thinking, how he used to give everybody a hard time, but it was the first time I think I've seen him give such an important speech where he just didn't seem to have the same energy. Yeah.
Imagine Jeb comes out poking at him, or Biden starts coming up with nicknames. He's like, this low energy Donald over there.
He'll probably call him
Do you think he's
Reagan.
going to be the nominee in 2024? Do you think that Joe Biden will be the nominee, or do you think that he won't finish his term? I guess you could finish his term but still not be the nominee. So what do you think? Oh, I guess we could throw that on a poll. Those are 3 good options
might
to
be a
throw on
good
a poll
poll,
for
yeah.
everybody, right?
That's
Let's
a tough
see.
one, man. You know, it's very strange, this whole thing with him right now and his cognitive decline, which is quite obvious. And I'm not making fun of him. I feel bad for him in some ways, although, you know, based on what he's doing in the country, I don't feel as that bad. But
You're
I
talking
mean,
Biden?
what's that?
Talking about Biden?
We
Yeah.
are. Here's the poll. The
Yeah.
poll is, will Biden finish his term? Yes, no, or yes, but he won't run in 2024.
How
So
much
those
time
are
do
your
we have
options,
left?
ladies and gentlemen.
He
How much
already
time?
said he was going to run in 2024, though.
No,
What
he
is it,
didn't.
like, what is it,
He
2?
did.
No, he didn't. He did not announce.
I think he said something about it
there was
recently.
somebody who said, you know, there's a lot of people who don't want you to run in 2024, and his response was, "Watch me."
Well,
So,
I don't know. They formally announced though, like Mike's saying, but
I don't know. I don't know if that counts as an announcement, or just being contrarian to what he was being told.
he says he'll announce his decision in early 2023.
Well, there you go.
But 2/3 of the midterm voters said they wouldn't like to see him run.
Exactly.
Whoa.
You don't want to see me run. Watch me, and also watch me lose.
I see
Or
this
just,
interesting
you know, hide in the
commentary.
basement.
Interesting commentary in the comments over here about DeSantis, whether he should be the one who runs. Len says, love DeSantis, but don't want him out of Florida yet. Well, you might have neither of the above as options. I have a hard time believing that Trump would announce without some sort of deal already being worked out regarding the DeSantis thing. I don't know. He is Donald Trump, so he's very unpredictable. So it's entirely possible that they weren't able to reach a deal. And he said, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, and we'll figure it all out later.
Could be.
Oh, yes.
But it seems very unlikely to me that they don't have this all worked out already behind the scenes to whether DeSantis is going to be the running mate or what's going to happen as a result. I will say that calling him DeSanctimonious, not a good look. Not a good look. Right? DeSantis is far too popular. He's far too popular to be getting a spitting contest with him for no reason.
Yeah, and the other day, I think I sent you guys between shows some of those text messages, copies or screenshots of, because Trump was kind of giving DeSantis a hard time about how many votes he got compared to how many he had, and people were giving Trump, like, going back at Trump for, you know, doing that. They didn't like that he was doing that.
I think that most Trump supporters don't want him knocking on DeSantis because they like him too.
Yeah. I mean,
so we're making it, and right now there's a divide. I've seen all the talk online. Everybody's either for Trump or DeSantis, period. So, and there's like a pretty hard line. And I say, if we don't come together somehow, we ain't winning anything. So I did put, I think the media is fueling the Trump v. DeSantis fire. So I did put something in the doc, Russ. There's a timestamp 3 months ago where Trump he's saying he likes DeSantis. He said he stayed at Mar-a-Lago. I don't know. I mean, he might have said something, but he kind of goes back and forth.
We've got a completely even vote on this. The yes, no, and yes, but he won't run in 2024. So I don't think there's a decisive view on what will happen for the future of Joe Biden. Durso checking in. Give him a hey now.
Hey now. SM Durso. Hey now.
I like Eric's comment over here. Eric says, does the White House have a basement? It reminds me of the Pee Wee Herman movie. Did you watch that with your kid?
Oh, yeah.
Chris?
I remember
the
that.
Pee Wee Herman movie?
Right.
Where he goes to the fortune teller and he's looking for his bike that's been stolen. And the fortune teller is just looking at signs across the street and says, it's in the Alamo. And then sees another sign in the basement. And so Pee Wee does everything he's got to do to hitchhike across the country and get to the Alamo. And he shows up to the tour of the Alamo, and they get through everything. And Pee Wee goes, oh, hold on, before we're done, I want to see the basement. And they're like, there's no basement in the Alamo, silly.
We should have Pee Wee to talk
I don't
about
know
it.
if
We
the
had
White
Pee
House
Wee
has
on
a basement,
before.
but apparently the Alamo does not have a basement.
That's right. Who's
All right,
this?
here we go. Let's see this video.
All right, let's check it out.
It's a clip.
It's a video clip.
5% of them are good endorsements.
Yeah, a few last questions. Ron DeSantis, if he looking ahead to 2024, you'll make that decision sometime in the future. If he gets in the race and you're in the race, does he have a shot?
Well, I
If you're
don't wanna
both
say
in the
that.
ra- if you're
You know,
both
we
in the
were just
race.
together this weekend. It was interesting. He
Yeah.
came to Mar-a-Lago for something, and it was very nice. We have a good relationship. Look, when Ron asked me to endorse him, he was at 3. Immediately after I endorsed him, he went up to 71, and the race was over. It was over that minute.
I remember that.
So I think Ron knows that, and Ron and I have a very good relationship. I like him a lot.
Yeah, the media wants, what the media wants to do.
Well, I know they like the narrative. Sometimes they'll say, I like him, and it never gets put in. No, I like Ron. I have a good relationship with Ron. And I'm proud of the fact that I gave him an endorsement. Ron was at 3. It was over for him.
Mhm.
And I endorsed him. He went up to 71 immediately. In fact, the man that he beat had it made, the agriculture commissioner. You know that? And I saw him a year later. He said, when that endorsement was given, it was like a bomb went off, to use a bad term, but it was like a bomb went off. He said the race was over. And he was at 38 and he had $28 million in the bank. Ron was at 3 and he had no money in the bank. And when I endorsed him, the race changed. Then I got him past Stacey Abrams. And Ron knows that better than anybody. And I think that, Ron and I have a very good relationship, I will tell you.
Speaking of a relationship,
There we go.
Hey, should I keep it going or no?
I don't know. That's a little bit of a trend with Trump, though, right? He could talk very well about somebody and highly of somebody, and then,
And then
things
disrespect.
change very rapidly. Philly Chris, you're on mute. I don't know if you're aware.
Oh yeah,
of
it just
this.
came off. Thank you.
Okay. Len says he was
I
thrown
was
out
talking to
of the
Pee Wee
Alamo.
Herman. Called me.
Pee Wee Herman.
You might
he's
be able to
looking for his
join us.
mic?
Yeah, trying to coordinate.
Where's my mic? I don't know.
Oh, did we lose Mike?
Apparently we lost
Oh
Mike.
my goodness, we lost the host of the show.
Oh no! Now it's
I'm
the
trying
Philly
to
Chris. Now it's the
get-
Philly Chris in the morning show.
It was
Ooh,
my plan all along. Let me see if I can get Pee Wee
he's
on here. Oh,
He's
he's back. There we
spoiled
go.
fun. Mike, we were just having a party.
Oh man, it's ruined now.
Yeah.
Len says he
Welcome
was
back.
thrown out of the Alamo.
What happened?
Len says he was thrown out of the Alamo.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
We're gonna get that story on the air. What do you think?
That would be good.
Why don't you take over for just a minute? Maybe we'll bring some people in. I like Stack's idea that maybe we could have people come on and talk a little bit, give everybody like a 5-minute time limit where we talk about whether they want Trump to win.
That'd be cool.
Why not? That sort of thing. So I'm going to take a quick break. Philly Chris,
Okay.
take over,
All
take the
right.
reins for just a minute, okay?
Sounds good. You want to try to have people come in tonight, or okay? He's gone.
I think Russ will have to throw the link in the chat.
Yeah. Throw
So-
it in there, brother. See if we can
Yeah,
get other people to join.
that was kind of our plan. If anybody wants to come on, tell us their reaction to Trump saying he's running or any other thoughts.
Be awesome. That would be fantastic. So, well, maybe this would be an opportune time. You had a few things in the dock, didn't you, Liberty?
Yeah,
you took-
I have to wait for Mike because I kind
Oh,
of
you do. Okay. Okay.
I kind of debriefed him. Briefed him. I always say
Oh,
debrief.
okay. All right.
But Philly Chris, what is your genuine reaction of him running?
I had a feeling he would run again, and I do think he's going to win. I just, for some reason, see that as the future outcome of what we're seeing right now in the country, especially with all the craziness that Biden is leading us through. So I think people will get out to vote for him, and I can't really think of somebody else that could carry that baton to
Just
win
think-
again in the presidency. What's
think
that?
of one. I just want everybody to think of one thing, because Democrats see us fighting back and forth now, and that was one of their big talking points: is the Republicans are, they're what do you call it? Division over DeSantis versus Trump. It's like, we have to show out,
Mm-hmm.
no matter.
Yeah,
what.
and it'd be interesting to see what happens with the whole DeSantis thing. I think you and Mike were saying off air that you felt like maybe they'll team up and he would run as his VP, and that would be pretty amazing. whether or not people would want to lose him down in Florida. But then again, to have the opportunity to be the vice president, I don't see why he would turn that away. But it'd be interesting to see if they go against each other at all, because I think a lot of people are pushing for DeSantis to just run for president, like outright run. But I don't think he could necessarily beat Trump, So we'll see what happens.
Did we get that link over in the comments section so people can enjoy? We get
Russell. I don't think I saw it pop up.
Do
Russ,
we have?
did you?
I think we have Pee Wee Herman.
Might, yeah, it was
audio only.
It could be. Yeah, you should probably bring him on.
Audio only.
He texted me. He's been listening to the show.
Mr. Herman, are you there?
Oh, hi, Mike G.
Thank you so much for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Alamo, and there was no basement. I was really disappointed. I couldn't find my bike anywhere.
Have you found your bike since then?
Oh, yeah, I found it. It was in Francis's yard.
Would you be interested, Mr. Herman, in me purchasing them?
Dog barking.
They have a dog. Pee Wee has a dog.
Ruff, ruff, ruff.
His name is Ruff Ruff. How'd you know?
We can see your camera, Mr. Herman, so you're aware. If you don't want anybody to find out where you live, you can you can cross out the
I
camera.
have to go to the secret space.
Okay, that's fine. So, Mr. Herman, now that you've got your bike back from Francis, would you be interested in me maybe purchasing that bike off of you?
I'm sorry, could you say that again? You broke.
Now that you've got your bike back, I'd be interested in purchasing it from you. Would you be interested in that?
$1 million.
Oh, because I heard from somewhere that it wasn't
sale,
for sale.
Mike.
Yeah, it's not for sale.
Not for $1 million, gazillion, trillion, billion dollars. I think I should replace Russ. I heard there's a job opening.
I could be producer.
I produced my own show before.
What show was that?
Oh, the Pee Wee Herman Show.
It was a pretty big hit. And then you even went on Broadway after the fact.
Every Saturday. Every Saturday we put on a show. I'd have Cherry there. I'd have all the characters. It was wonderful.
Cowboy Curtis and John B, right?
And the Penny cartoon.
This is classic.
Oh, this was good.
Pee Wee Herman, who do you think is going to win the election in 2024?
Who else is with Donald Trump?
Could we get a message? This is Pee Wee Herman, and I endorse Donald Trump for president in 2024.
This is Pee Wee Herman, and I endorse Donald Trump 2024.
And make America great again.
And what's your favorite radio program, Pee Wee?
Oh, yeah, it's your program. It's my favorite. The Mike J. The Morning Show. Shut up and lawyer up.
This is great. Well, Pee Wee, I know you're a very busy man, and I appreciate you being so gracious with your time.
WFYL.
Love it. I think we owe you some money, Pee Wee.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Nah, just send me some nice spicy mustard.
We can certainly arrange that.
I'll put it on my pancakes in the morning. I'll call it Mike G. The Morning Pancakes.
Mike G. The Morning Mustard Pancakes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, Pee Wee. We'll talk to you soon.
No problem, Mike. Have a good day. Philly Chris, you look like Santa Claus.
Thank you. I'll see you this weekend, Pee Wee.
That was great. What else? Did anybody else get the link over here? Did Russ get that in the... Do I have to do that myself?
I think Russ is having some pancakes with mustard right now or something.
If you want something done right, you've got to do it yourself.
Do it yourself. You get it in there.
There you go. Now everybody's got it.
There we go.
Come on and talk for 5 minutes.
Come on the show.
Yeah, and just be careful about what you talk about so we don't get this show kicked off.
Talk about the zucchini and all our gardening and
Zucchini,
potatoes.
Darfur,
Darfur, yeah.
Darfur.
Darfur.
Yeah,
Counting
so let's see who else shows up. We want to know: do you support Trump in 2024? Why? Why not? Len, if Len comes on, I want to hear the story about how he's kicked out of the Alamo, as well as
Yeah, we gotta hear the details on that.
Len's got a special exemption from Mike G that he can talk about more than Trump. He can
There
talk
we go.
about
That's
the
awesome.
time he got kicked out of the Alamo.
Yeah, we got to hear that.
And of course, it's not just limited to Len. If anybody else got kicked out of the Alamo, feel free to come on and tell us about that too.
We also have to hear a story about how Philly Chris had a sneak lesson with one of our viewers.
Oh yes, that's
Got
correct.
it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I got a little
yeah, we
video
can
and some
talk about
pictures.
that.
Maybe I should put something together for next week's episode.
Next week, okay. We'll
Or
do
maybe
that
the
next
week. Are
week.
we doing a episode next week with the holiday?
That's a good question.
No.
We have the option to take off for Thanksgiving. I think that might be wise. I don't know that we've had a day off in quite some time.
Yeah.
So,
Russ
been at
probably
least
needs
6
to
months.
rest too.
It's been at least 6 Yeah, right. Russ has not had enough rest this year.
No.
That was the
No.
first thing Russ said. He said,
I know.
I don't work on Thanksgiving holidays.
Holidays.
Mike, nobody else has that option.
You don't work on non-holidays, right?
You don't answer the emergency phone on the holidays, right, Mike?
Yeah, no, I don't work on holidays. I don't work on non-holidays. I don't work in the rain. I don't work on a train.
I don't work on days that end in Y.
There you go.
I love that Chris sent in our private group chat before. He said, Liberty, I appreciate how, even though you've gone through such physical trials and everything with your health, you always tend to deliver. And I didn't get a chance to because I was busy doing other things, but I wanted to send Russ, even though you've got no physical injuries, thanks for never delivering. So, Chris is like, somehow you always deliver.
Right.
Russ, you have no injuries, and somehow you never deliver.
I was starting to type it out, and then I was like, all right, I'll just be nice.
Oh, I had nothing to be nice. I had actual work to do.
Yeah,
working on some cases
Yeah.
last minute before we had to start broadcasting.
I understand completely.
I could just bring it up on the air. That would be
that's good. I think it's wonderful.
Okay. Well, if nobody's got the courage to come on the air, I'm not mean to people, right?
They might have trouble getting to that link through there, or maybe I don't know. I guess you'd have to type it up. I don't know if you can click on that.
You can,
but
absolutely
if you could,
100%.
Can you click on that?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Oh, like in the I'm looking at the StreamYard. Well, maybe in YouTube you can.
100% on YouTube you can click.
Okay, cool. My bad. Will someone join us? Ladies and gentlemen, join the show.
Because if not, I've got something else I want to talk about. This was in Liberty's section of the doc about some things that were going on now. Stack says, if I call you, you guys may not like me anymore. See, I don't get it, because Stack also said at some other point, hey, don't be offended or something like that.
Exactly.
No matter what, we will love Stacks.
What did he say?
No, I saw that earlier too. Not to take it too literal or something like that, but because I think we were sort of, maybe because I was backing up what he was saying. But
please don't take my comments the wrong way. It's just a discussion. If we didn't want you to have any opinions, then we would be leftists, right? We're totally against that. Of course, we would have a discussion with people who have differing opinions. Len's having firewall issues.
I don't know if you should say that though, Mike. I don't know if I agree with you saying that on the air.
You don't agree with me saying that leftists don't want the opinion?
No, I'm kidding. I'm trying to censor you.
Eric says, is the mustard award still available? It depends. Do you want it to be?
Yeah, it should be.
We've been in talks with manufacturers about getting Mike G in the Morning bowls of mustard made up, so that way,
have to do that. Yeah.
If the Mike G in the Morning family would like to get their mustard from our store, you can do so.
Actually, now I dare Stacks to come on.
He's got to come on. Speaking of censorship, I thought I saw Facebook announce that they're not going to censor Trump anymore on Facebook. I don't even know if he's still on Facebook, but did you guys see that?
No.
I believe his ban is up, isn't it?
Maybe that's it. I wonder if he'll even go back
Facebook?
on there.
What about Twitter with Musk taking over? Does anybody know? Is
I
Trump
think
gonna
he
be
was
allowed
welcome back
on?
on there too,
I
but I
actually
believe he
have-
said he wouldn't go back on. But we'll see if
believe
that
he-
changes. Yeah,
during
Yeah.
that,
Oh, so
He
he's
was down trip.
voluntarily abstaining from Twitter.
I think so.
guys, during that
Probably a good
interview,
Yes, Liberty.
during the same interview, he had said that he's not going back on because he has his own platform, or he's on that other platform. What's it called?
The Truth Social, I think, right?
Truth Social. And he said, it's not really a competitor of Twitter, but it is really a competitor of Twitter, I guess, because everything's really a competitor of everything. That was kind of his response. I think he was trying to lessen because he says he likes Elon, and so he didn't really want to be like a direct competition with Elon, but it kind of is in a way. So yeah, he was basically saying he's not going back on Twitter, but no hard feelings.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll see what he does. Yeah. Although it's funny what's going on Twitter now and the whole blue check mark stuff and all that stuff going on.
Oh, there's some serious curveballs being thrown because we've been trained to recognize the blue check mark as legitimate news source, basically, right?
Right.
And then so once
called.
everybody can get one who paid $8,
Yeah.
the first couple of days on Twitter, I don't know how I can say this properly on the air, but there was this one outlet with a blue check mark that said that Josh Allen, the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, was out week to week with torn genitalia. I guess that's the best way I can say it. And I looked at it, I was like, what? And it is sold. This, or it was a fracture of the genitalia.
Oh,
yeah, grade
fracture.
grade four something fracture.
Really?
And I said, this blue check mark thing is throwing quite a few curveballs over here.
That's hilarious.
Because you see a blue check mark, you think like Adam Schefter, ESPN. This is legit.
Right.
What happened to this guy? You know, how did that happen?
He broke his junk.
Broken junk. You'd have to get quite creative with the cast over there. You know?
Oh my goodness.
Oh no. That sounds awful.
There's no easy way to transition out of this, but we got Stacks checking in.
Oh, perfect.
Right as we're talking about the very serious topic about quarterbacks with broken genitalia.
Thanks for saving us.
I'm glad I chimed in when I did. I pull you away from that.
Thank you very much.
Go.
Yeah. We're almost about to talk about toilets
so
again.
Stacks, you got some misgivings about Trump running in 2024, don't you?
Well, let me start off by saying I did go and grab my gloves, just just in case it got a little. In case Liberty wanted to, I might have to duck.
Liberty throws grenades.
I mean, seriously, like I say this all the time. I'm not really like a red or blue team type of guy. I'm not listening to them because they're Republican or Democrat. I'm kind of like, show me,
Do you know what that means, Stack? That means that you're an intelligent human being. That's what that means.
I hope. But I mean, because here's the problem really lies around like everyone else kind of plays that game. And I see it all the time. Because even when I say something like, I don't agree with what Trump said. I voted for Trump every time. But I mean, every time I say something to anybody else that might have even remotely, I mean, I don't live in the city anymore, so there's no Democrats really around here. But I mean, like if you were to say that you disagreed with Trump, they look at you like you're an automatic leftist socialist. Like it's like they go on the combative. So like, it's hard for me sometimes because even when I'm honest, it's like both sides tend to just, not like me after that,
Sure. Yeah.
It's so extreme on both sides. Yeah.
But I mean, in all honesty, my biggest problem was the vaccine. What happened?
Zucchini.
I'm sorry. Yeah, the zucchini. I apologize. The zucchini. What happened with that? And I followed through it, and it almost made me lose my career because they were forcing me into doing it or I couldn't work. And I held my ground all the way through that. I did not participate in any of that bull crap. I'm not wearing a mask.
Awesome.
I'm not jumping through your hoops.
Right.
I'm not staying away from this and that and quarantining, and I'm not taking something that I don't want to take. And that's not to say, because I'm not like a person that's like totally against all of that. I'm not, I'm not a crazy person. But like it was obvious that nobody had any idea if it was going to make you grow a second head or cure everything. You know what I mean? And like the fact that it was being forced is what drove me nuts, because people let fear drive them into these decisions. And then they would say things like, but I know somebody, which is completely understandable, right? Like, I know somebody. But that perpetuated the fear that pushed everybody into, you have to take it. And when you didn't take it, then you were the bad guy. And
But there's a difference, isn't there, between the zucchini's a good thing and saying the turnip's no big deal. I mean, the turnip could be very serious while the zucchini still not being what it's being made out to be. And I think that Trump's position all along has been it shouldn't be forced by any government entity. I don't know how he stands as far as private businesses being able to say you must or you must not. But it's available for everybody who wants it, right? Half the country wanted this solution.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Provide it. Hey, if you want it, here you go. Go ahead. If you don't, then you can make your own decision.
I absolutely said that from the rip, Mike. Like, that's what I said from the very, very beginning, is that, like, if it's available and you want it because and don't get me wrong, I'm sure there were people that were in really bad spots. Again, I've studied this very closely, and I don't want to get into, like, I could if you really want to, but, like, if you just even pay attention, most people that were severely affected were already sick in some way. And a lot of times it's crazy because
comorbidities,
at least four. Like, that's when you look at it. And then the padding of the numbers, which was another crazy, and I don't want to say too much to get you, like, jammed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, the problem is that, like, coming through the backside of this, and, like, without getting in specifics and try to get, somebody on your back about it, like, they lied a lot. And the beginning of it was, this is the thing, right? Take the thing and you'll be fine. And that morphed quickly. Now, my problem with Trump is that not where he was at then, but where he's at now. He still touts it as it's the best thing that ever could have happened. He still touts, he pats himself on the back constantly every time it's brought up. If the man would say, hey, this went the wrong way, like, this should have been just made available to whoever thought they needed it, and then it would be a good thing, I'd be on the train again.
Yep.
But has he always said that he's not for forcing it on anybody? Because I think the accomplishment is having it available to whoever's interested and willing, based on the surrounding circumstances in that short of a period of time. That's no doubt an accomplishment, because they said he couldn't do it.
I think he could take a position where he would, he could literally say, like, hey, listen, at the time, the information I was given and the facts that were presented to me, I did what I thought was the best thing to do at that time and did the warp speed thing. But now, retrospectively looking back, people told me things that weren't exactly copacetic. So, like, I kind of agree with what Stax is saying. Like, he probably should come back
primarily on that. Hold on.
Yeah.
But if we were to presume, and I'm not saying that this is a scientific discussion or anything, but if we're to presume, and we're just going through a logical exercise, if we're to presume that the people most negatively affected by the turnip are people who are in extremely vulnerable states, right? Then they may be in a position where the risks of the zucchini are outweighed by their potential devastation by the turnip itself, because of the nature of where they are. So for people who are in that situation, wouldn't it be within their personal liberties, first of all, to be able to take that? Wouldn't that be also a good thing to have that available? It's almost like the right to try that Trump was talking about leading up to all this, having nothing to do with the zucchini, where you have people who are terminally ill and they weren't able to access certain medicines because they hadn't gone through all this red tape and testing and everything like that. And people are like, dude, I'm going to die anyway. Let me please at least give this a shot. This might help me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I 100% agree. Like, and that's where I know we all kind of probably share that common ground. The fact that it was done and what else were they going to do? Right. Like, they were under the belief, and in my estimation, under false pretenses, making decisions. Because again, I commented this, and I'm really hoping that, like, this doesn't seem like it's going into a back and forth, but, like, he literally turned to the swamp and said, what do we do, guys? And, like, they were like, hey, we got an answer for you, and, like, just look at the guy, they gave him the answer and it wasn't the right answer, right? But he didn't know that at the time. So I'm fine with the idea that, like, under false pretenses or misinformation, that he may have just did what he thought was best. Fine, right? I've made a lot of mistakes too, right? Like, I mean, like, and if that was a mistake, because that's for anybody else to determine whether or not they thought that was a mistake. But if that was a mistake, in his mind looking back, I would have thought to this point that if he understood who his base was, that he would have said, the way that it was handled was wrong. The way that it was done, the way that it finished, the way that it got picked up and ran with, and then everybody got to do it or else, or you know what I mean? Like, all he has to do is say that.
Wasn't it the Biden administration? Len makes a good point. So Trump had it developed, wasn't really involved with the rollout. By the time he was out of office is when these things started to become available. Isn't that true? Because
actually,
I
Biden
remember
credit for all of it, I think.
Announce,
So
they purposely, frankly, they purposely did not announce that the zucchini was going to be ready until after, like a day after the election, right?
You know what's funny is they all said, we're not taking it. They all said that. All the goofballs, we're not taking it because Trump made it. And then as soon as he was gone, it was like, oh, now everybody has to take it. And I'm like, see, this is the madness. Like, this is the craziness right here.
That's true. That's indisputable. That is indisputable.
I have a point. Just think about, see, Stacks studies, you know, what you study, but I studied Uncle Trump. And one thing about Uncle Trump is that if he gets, if he does something well and he's not being recognized for what he did well, that's why he keeps bringing it up, because he said, you guys wanted this dang vaccine. I got this done. I got it done fast. And you're still going to give me the middle finger? That's why he keeps bringing it up. I listened to his interviews. He's mad and bitter that he got this done and he's not getting the credit for it. That's what he wants.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly that that's where he's at. Yeah. I'm just saying that's probably not the best thing for me to say, you know, like that's I agree with you though. I think that's definitely where he's at.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. I think that if the Biden administration had given him a little more credit for it during the rollout, there probably would have been more people on the right willing to play ball and go along with it than there are. And, you know, I'm not saying that that's a good thing, but just factually looking at it objectively from the outside, because they refuse to even acknowledge that as an accomplishment and act like it fell out of the sky out of nowhere. I think a lot of people are like, whoa, wait a second. You know,
it was a crazy time. That was a crazy time to watch it all unfold. I mean, I was still working for First Energy, so we were considered essential workers. And you're driving down a 4-lane highway, 4 lanes on both sides, and there is nobody on the road. And it was just the eeriest feeling. So like, you know, like I get the fear. I get it. Like I get why, you know, people being afraid and doing what they thought was best. I 100% get it. And even in the beginning with me, I was still going out and working, even all the way through day one. We had off like 2 days. And when I would come home, I come in through the basement, strip all my clothes off, put them right into the shower, wash everything I could off, and then go jump into the shower before I could like try to touch my kids, because I don't know what the hell is going on, right? But I mean, as time, and I honestly, like, and I don't think that, like, I don't know if everybody shares the same perspective as I do, given some of my life experiences, is that after the first 2 weeks, red flags started popping up for me. I would hear them talk and I would say, that makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, I didn't know the answer. I just, you know, I'm just listening, and it just sounded like something, we're all going to die. Like I used to tease everybody and say that, like, we're all going to die. We're all going to die. And I'm like, well, I mean, like, you know, if we're all going to die, like, you don't need to watch the news to see that. Like, if what they're saying is actually happening, you're going to see it yourself outside on the street, in the city you're in, wherever you're at. Like because with the numbers that they were giving out in the beginning, like they were like millions of people are going to die tomorrow. Right. Like that's, I mean, then that's when I was like, well, wait, like, because they, at one point, that's really what they were saying. They were like, you know, all of these people. And that's when the backtracking started, it kind of drew my attention. And then I'm like, something isn't right. Something is not right. And then the more you look into it, it's like, these things were just not adding up. Like it just, and that's what it really came down to, is that my discernment was telling me that it wasn't adding up. It wasn't the things weren't doing. And then you meet people that got it and they were like, I can't taste or smell, and it's been like a month. And I'm like, man, that's terrible. But you didn't die, right? Because that's what they were saying. Everybody's gonna die. They were saying everybody that got it was gonna die. That's what they said in the beginning, and that's where I started. That's where the everything started. I don't forget what they said in the beginning, because I think a lot of people let them move the goalposts without really looking back. And then it's easy to, kind of fall into that trap at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay, maybe maybe this is all right. Maybe that is all right. But dude, like they were in the beginning, they were making it sound like it really was half the country's going to die in a week. Like, and I mean, from the numbers that they were saying, that's where it started. Is that
the media also tried to fan the flames. If you turned on CNN,
right,
or any of these left-leaning media sources, which is practically all of them, they had these counters going all day and all night, right?
Well, Project Veritas even caught them admitting to putting that up to scare people too.
And then once the power changed hands, it's like out the window. That's gonzo. We're not going to
It's amazing the way the narrative shifts too, isn't it? Like, Trump's out, Biden's in, completely different. It's like, whoa, what?
We're good to go. Hey, everything's better.
Yeah, complete 180. No, we're not ever going to take it. What are you all crazy? Oh, Biden's in. Yes, everybody has to take it now. Everybody,
right.
Even the children.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody. Is it? Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to remember an exact thing I thought you would find funny, but I can't. There was a woman from Michigan, I believe, that was like the health coordinator of whatever sort, for the state out there. And she said in the interview, it was the first time when I was like, oh, I'm done. I'm out. I'm checking out. She said, yeah, there was a guy that died in a car accident, but when we tested his blood, it said he had COVID. So we wrote that up as a COVID death. I'm like, they just said that out loud. And now I can't believe anything else. I have to now I can't believe nothing none of you say, and I have to use my own discernment to figure out the next few steps leading all the way through this. And I'm telling you, Mike.
Got you. And I've heard, I had a police officer tell me the same thing happened, where it was a young kid, blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
And because of the test, that's how they wrote it up. So who
the
knows why they're
getting money?
Well, I know why they were doing it. They were getting 30, 40 grand every time.
Well, there could be reasons other than that are nefarious as well.
Sure.
But,
just to inflate the numbers.
Regardless,
died with, didn't die of.
Let's say they did it a whole lot and they did it with half. There's still a lot of people that died,
Absolutely.
This was different than some of the other stuff we saw in the past. I don't know anybody who had SARS. I don't know anybody who had MERS. I know one guy who had the swine flu, and I wasn't around him when he had it because it was during the off season. He was a player on the college team. But I know a lot of people who got the turnip, and I know multiple people who died from the turnip.
Right.
So it's different than some of the other things that we've seen.
So here's all I mean by that. And I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but I know when what they said and what happened were obviously way two different things. Right. If you got it, you were going to die. That's what they said. Right. All the time. And that's what motivated the entire thing from all of it. Like, I'm sorry, somebody's talking.
Okay. Well, and what they did with it, they shut everything down 2 weeks to slow the curve.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I'm sorry. I lost track.
Yeah, no, I think
what happened wasn't warranted. Seeing as time went through, like they shut down the world. They shut down the world. And I just don't, you can't hide from that. They shut down churches. They shut down everything, and people were so afraid that they just, if you turned off the TV, you wouldn't be afraid. Bottom line.
Yeah.
Like that's what it comes down to. And now people always get sick.
It depends on your personal circumstances, right? If you live with your grandma, who, if she gets it, she could very well die, then you're going to behave differently, right? But that doesn't mean that everybody, listen, there's a difference between, hey, I love my grandma, I live with my grandma, so I'm going to not go out for the next couple of weeks while we figure out what's going on because I don't want to get her sick. And the government saying, okay, because Mike G's grandma could potentially be harmed by this, nobody in the world is going out. There's a difference between those two things, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I have a buddy who said that. How about everybody with a leaky heart just stays in instead of all of us?
Quarantining the healthy has never
Right.
been an actual thing. That's
Yeah,
all made up and new. Like quarantining the healthy has never been a thing until recently. Like that's also another giant
wacky
red
thing to do.
flag that like
Yeah.
it just does not work like that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just.
And
Yeah.
also, it was absolutely disgusting to be promoting getting free donuts when what you need to be doing is getting rid of all inflammation causing things in your body.
Yeah.
That's
Liberty, that's a huge point that I really wasn't even going to touch on, but you're 100% right.
Yeah.
Most people are so sick and so used to being sick from just lack of exercise and diet that they don't even realize it. Like that's how severely malnourished, dehydrated, you're not eating. Or just imagine the garbage that people eat on a regular basis. And like, you're kind of like, if you were to, it's what, and in my opinion, and I guess I'm not trying to go out on the crazy train here, but like, if you're already in that condition and you don't really even know about it, I mean, if you get something bad, then it's going to be worse, right? Like if you don't take care, you could say you were healthy, you wouldn't know, would you? Like until you get something that actually tests your immune system. Most people don't exercise. Most people eat fast food day in and day out. That's all that they do. Processed food. I mean, like everything comes in a bag.
Right.
Yeah.
Get your insect protein.
What's the average?
Now
how many calories a day do we think the average American consumes?
The average, you mean?
Yeah, the average American. How many calories in a day do we think they consume?
Probably like 3,000.
It's more than well. The average diet's like 3,500, I believe, is what the average, and that's like not anywhere near.
Yeah, you're supposed to have like 2,000, 2,500 or something.
I think honestly, I think
recommendation is 2,500 for men, 2,000 for women.
Yeah, but it's the stuff people eat though. And
like
our food supply, it's interesting too. Like, the same people who are making the jab are making a lot of the foods. Like, look at the cereals and the junk that's in them.
I don't. I don't want to turn this into a conspiracy hour for you.
Well, it's really not a conspiracy.
There really is
a conspiracy though, because if you look at the facts and you
There's
look at
fat
even
people in the United States, that's not a conspiracy.
Yeah, right. But I appreciate
what I meant is the circle
coming from though.
I meant the circle of things that actually he's right. Like Chris is right. I can actually tell from a lot of stuff that he says that he's it sounds crazy to people that have never actually looked really deeply into it, but I can tell Chris has. A lot of the stuff that he says isn't out the window crazy. Like it's not the Alex Jones hour, like whenever he says stuff, but it is accurate. You see a lot of it. It's a big, for better word, circle joker of people that like you'd be surprised to find out who all has a hand that plays in it, and they're all the same people that profit from the vax and promote the vax. Zucchini. Jeez, I'm sorry, dude. I can't. I get a little fired up. This is one of these touchy subjects for me because this dude, I'm telling you, like I see these memes now, and I'm telling you, it really hits home. Like when they talk about the trillions of dollars of propaganda. And if you came through this and you didn't get vaccinated and you didn't buy into that, you need to pat yourself on the back because an all-out blitz came from every coordinated effort that you can think of, from governments to corporations and everything in between, and said you had to do this or else. Even jobs, livelihoods, right? They all told you that. And if you can make it through that and stand strong on your beliefs, I'm telling you, man, like it's really, really hard to fathom what that takes. Mike, they told me I would never work again.
Yeah, there's a lot of.
It's
pressure.
insane. Yeah,
it's a lot of pressure.
It's almost amazing to me how quick it all happened, and to see it in our constitutional republic. I maybe expected something crazy during my lifetime, but not this early in my lifetime. I mean, I am 120. I was in the Senate for 120.
But it's not a conspiracy. If any doctor or anybody has a donut, or media has donut in one hand and a zucchini in the other, and they're not telling you.
How do you not see through that though? How do you not see through that?
Right.
If they tell you to cut out the foods that cause inflammation, refined sugar, and wheat, things like that, if you do not cut that out and they're telling you to get the vaccine first, then they don't truly care.
They don't care. These people don't care.
Nope.
And the big corporations are like, anybody who's got cereal with fortified iron in it, go in your kitchen tomorrow, mash a bunch of it up in a Ziploc bag and take a magnet out and hold it up to the bag. You would be amazed what you see. you're going to see little particulates of metal, and it's
And-
not the kind of iron you need in your body.
Right.
Liberty, I have to say really quickly, I'm
Yeah.
so glad to hear you say that. I really am. The diet is, in my opinion, it's key. I'm telling you, eating healthy, in my belief, it's part of the reason why I'm trying to really grow things and be self-sufficient, because we have no idea where our food comes from. We really don't. Like, you'd be shocked if you've seen where even some of the eggs come from, the animals that they come out of. It's disgusting. But I mean, I think that we could be a lot more healthier and be able to withstand a lot more illnesses without any kind of major problem, or even needing the medical people at all. Like, if we just ate better, like, I think it's huge, in my opinion. I'm glad to hear you say that, because
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
people don't draw it back to that.
Well,
I don't know how anybody could dispute that. If we started eating better and getting in better
Well,
shape
plus
and
the
being
food-
healthier,
my
then
dad
you'd
can
be
bread
less
instead.
susceptible to illnesses.
Well, Stacks might know better, but don't you need to eat like 6 oranges now just to get like the vitamin C that was in an orange back in the 50s or 60s or something like that? I don't know the exact number, but
Well,
the
it's
food
not.
isn't
It's
the
not
same.
so. It's not like so much you eat. It's a consistent basis of how you eat, right? Like, because
Yeah.
like vitamin C and the folic acids that are in oranges are massive for your immune system.
Mhm.
But it's not. You can't just eat a bag of oranges and be good, right? You got to
Right.
eat
But I mean, the
every
food now
day.
is not as the same as it used to be, because the soil's been, these big production facilities.
It's
they're-
why on
Yeah.
old ships from like the 15, 16s, like when they would cross the ocean, they had to take. That's why they called British people limeys,
Right,
because
that's
they
right,
had
the
to eat
limes, yeah.
lime to
Mhm.
get the fight, because oranges were not readily available as much as limes were back then.
Mhm.
But they had to have those during the voyage, or everyone would get sick.
That's right. That's right.
Mm.
Um,
I will say this: I had to go to UCLA for a family member having surgery, and I remember after they went up for the surgery, decided to go to the cafeteria to see if I could get something to eat while I was waiting for hours upon hours. And I remember in there realizing, you see all these donuts and these cinnamon buns and all this garbage, and I realized at that moment that you have all of these enlightened, well-educated medical professionals sitting there eating their breakfast or their lunch, and there's not a single thing that I was willing to put into my body.
Yeah.
Yet we're looking to these people for how to be more healthy human beings and how do we fix our illnesses.
They manage your symptoms. They don't fix you.
Mhm. Yeah.
There's
Not a lot of profit
absolutely
in healing you, really,
mind-blowing.
unfortunately. Yeah.
mind blowing. Go ahead,
Mhm.
Liberty. I cut you off.
my the reason I'm like that is I have to give credit where credit's due. My dad has been like that since I remember, and he had us on, you know, supplements, and he's cut out bread and sugar when we were in high school, like long ago. We told him we were going to make him put on a t-shirt, "Bread is dead," because he was obsessed. But if you can't come from the ground, it's all the nutrients taken out, and it literally is causing, because he's a chiropractor, so everything would cause inflammation, and he would see his patients come in, and then they would have diabetes, and then they would have this and chronic inflammation, and then rheumatoid arthritis.
You create new diseases, Liberty.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Rheumatoid arthritis, and then what's the other one? Fibromyalgia. And I'm not saying they're not real, but they do. A lot of these things do happen with inflammation.
Yep.
So he started to treat patients deeper than that and find the root cause. And he just saw more medicine. So he started a nutrition program. So he was really, really great with that. So you're definitely onto something. And the other thing I wanted to say was, it's scary how my culture, my generation, if you see the memes and the videos, the girls promote heavy sizes now, like you wouldn't believe. And it's scary, because I'll tell you guys, I've been in the hospital quite a few times. You don't ever want to be in a hospital. Keep yourself out of the dang hospital, girls. And they're promoting these big sizes. Dude, their heart's got to be struggling. If you go to the doctor, they the first thing they say is your BMI, but then it's like, no body shaming. Come on, guys.
They're normalizing it. Yeah.
Liberty, I'm really, honestly, I'm not kissing your ass, but I'm glad to hear you say these things, because it is kind of crazy how few people actually think about it like that. With the hospitals too, I have a cousin of mine that's a doctor. He left the field that he was in to go try to do something different, because that's how much it bothered him seeing what he was seeing. He knew that they were doing. I don't want to get into specifics because, but he knew what they were doing was wrong. He knew what was happening was wrong. So he went to a completely different field.
That's awesome.
After a year and a half in.
At least he stood up to it. That's great.
I mean, and then when my daughter was in the hospital, and not to keep going on, but when my daughter was in the hospital, just to elaborate, when you go into the hospital with symptoms and they diagnose you with something, they have a treatment plan that is given to every single person for the exact. If you go in and you have something wrong with you, whatever that treatment plan is, everybody else that comes in with that problem gets that treatment plan. Mm-hmm. They don't like to deviate from that treatment plan because it screws up the bottom dollar of how much the hospital is going to make. And I can tell you that from my daughter. They insisted on giving her a feeding tube, and they didn't even try to feed her yet. And I was like, well, what happened when you tried to feed her? And she was like, well, we didn't. And I'm like, well, this is a whole other procedure that goes on for years. Like, once you put that in, so we're talking about 5-6 years where that's got to be in. Like, should we try to feed her first? Let's see if she can eat. And no joke, she looks at me and goes, and this is the doctor, this isn't like she's like, well, that could be dangerous because she could choke. I said, when you eat, you could choke. Like, why? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't. Yeah. But I mean, it was a battle. They were trying to throw me out of the hospital, like, permanently, because I'm like, you have to. I mean, long story short is that what I found out, especially from talking to my cousin, is that it affected a bottom line. They are taught, these doctors, like Mike was saying, they are taught to do A, B, C, and D, not why A, B, C, and D so much, but when somebody does this, and this isn't all encompassing. I don't mean to, put everybody in this, but this is the majority of how it all works, especially in big hospitals. You come in, you're sick, A, B, C, and D. And that's because that's the treatment plan that gets the hospital the most money. They gave my daughter the bottle. Now, don't get me wrong, it wasn't right off to the races, but after about a week of them trying to give her the bottle, she took the bottle permanently. She'd still have a tube in her right now.
It's amazing you stood up for her. That's amazing. Yeah.
She'd still have a tube in her right now if we didn't do that. I mean, it's just what I mean is like you have to be an advocate and not just believe everything they say because they're a doctor.
Right.
Right. Wow, we've gotten off on the tangent. We're glad to hear that it worked out well for Little Hope. That's great news.
Mm-hmm.
That's most important. More important than politics. More important than
it is
Trump running for office.
Well, and it says a lot about parenting these days. I think that a lot of parents should have stood up like Stacks did in that situation to this other nonsense that's going on. Correct. I can't believe how many parents allowed their children to basically be experimented on. So, yeah. Anyway, sorry, just had to jump in there and say that. Good for you, Stacks.
Thanks, buddy.
Speaking of jumping in,
thank you so much for popping in. You got.
I believe it was Chris who mentioned the cereal with the iron and everything. We actually did that experiment in like 6th or 7th grade when I was younger. We mashed up, I believe it was Frosted Flakes.
Okay.
And
I've got an article about that right over here from Snopes, who I know that people on the right typically.
Oh, well, they're reputable.
Well, we got people on the right are typically, skeptical of Snopes. But it says the claim is that Wheaties cereal sticks to magnets because it has metal flakes. The rating is true. It says in January of 2014, alternative health and conspiracy website naturalnews.com posted a video showing Wheaties cereal flakes sticking to a magnet. The site claimed that this was irrefutable proof that the cereal is full of metal fragments. The video, created by the health ranger Mike Adams, was created to give the impression that the flakes were hidden in the cereal by a never-do-well corporation. Wheaties breakfast cereal, and this is the quote, manufactured by General Mills, has been found to contain so many microscopic fragments of metal that individual flakes can be lifted and carried using common magnets, and Natural News Forensic Food Lab investigation is found and documented. However, this is not the quote any longer. However, the experiment performed by Adams is not new, nor is it limited to Wheaties. A spokesman for General Mills, which manufactures Wheaties, told us that the reaction is caused by iron fortification in the cereal and not a cause for alarm. The quote is, "We see the science experiment done pretty frequently with any iron-fortified cereal. It makes for a cool video. Iron is really important for your body to function well, and your body only absorbs as much as it needs." No longer the quote. Indeed, in 2011, Scientific American posted instructions on how to perform the experiment with any iron fortified breakfast cereal. The quote from Scientific American is, "What does your breakfast cereal have in common with the Earth's crust? They both have some of the same materials in them. It might seem strange to compare a bowl of cornflakes to a pile of dirt, but science can help us find one of the most common elements on Earth in your cereal, iron. Even though iron only makes up less than 5% of the mass on Earth, it is found in a lot of places: rocks, cereal, and even your blood. It's also the most frequently used metal on the planet. It makes up most of steel, which is a mixture of iron and other ingredients." And finally, a quick review of searches for breakfast cereal magnet experiment shows that it is a popular children's experiment, but we found no evidence suggesting that iron contained in breakfast cereals that sticks to magnets in these types of experiments is any cause for alarm or harmful to health. Iron deficiency is a common health problem, and fortifying grain, flour, and infant formula is a common practice in many countries, including the United States and Canada. So there you have it. The claim is true, although they seem to have softened the blow a little bit.
Yeah.
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see.
Not
here.
right, exactly. Nothing to see here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Stack, thank you so much for joining us, and
Hey,
thank
yeah,
you for
no problem.
sharing your
Listen,
opinion,
I,
even
I
though,
I wasn't gonna call in, but Liberty called me out. It's actually my anniversary, so yeah, I do
Oh.
have to go.
Happy anniversary.
Oh, congratulations! Tell Mrs. Stack a very happy anniversary from the gang. Okay.
All right, buddy. Thanks, man.
All
Good
right.
seeing you,
Take
brother.
care.
Be
All right,
well.
buddy.
Yep.
Hi, Stacks.
For those of us just tuning in, you're listening to Mike G in the Morning with The Law Matters, only on the Freedom Station, WFYL. We've got one more story that we wanted to talk about aside from Trump. And this is something that I think that really highlights why this country has gone down the tubes in terms of being able to disagree with one another and live your own lifestyle and have people let you be. So, Russ, why don't you go ahead and pull up that story? This is Liberty's story, really. So, I don't know if you want to introduce it. You're more than welcome to do so if you decide. Chris, what do you think about the? I guess we can't really talk too much about the. Russ says, "Don't call me. He's got to step away." I'm not available to do the show during the show.
It's pizza time. What were you going to ask me, Mike? I'm sorry.
Why? Can you explain any more about that cornflakes or Wheaties trick?
Yeah, well, they fortify it. They put the flakes in there, listening to experts on the topic, as I've tried to study certain things about nutrition over the
Which experts?
years.
Which experts?
I'd probably have to go find that information again, but there's some nutrition people who talk about the more holistic vitamins that are available as opposed to some of the synthetic versions, for example. I mean, I have to go back and find names. So,
Like
but
beef liver?
they
Like the ones you
Yeah.
stole from me?
You're
Those
right.
are
That's
iron
right.
pills.
Yeah, like the little video we did. Yeah. I mean, I've taken vitamins a good part of my life. I know you take supplements. We talked about it on the show a little bit, but there's different types of vitamins available. Like when you buy the everyday, I don't want to name a brand, but the stuff at the grocery store that you see on TV, the big brands, a lot of those vitamins in there are synthetic and they're not really the same, so there's
The
something.
more mainstream ones.
Yeah. And they don't necessarily dissolve in your body. You hear these stories about people who work in the septic industry and they see those things constantly just getting, run through the machinery or whatever. But so there's different ways to use different types of supplements, obviously, that are higher grade. So that's where I got that information from, because the claim was by these so-called experts that what they're adding to the, products, the cereals that a lot of our kids are eating, it's not really the same as what you would get, the iron you would get naturally in the food supply if you were eating more organic or natural food sources. So that's my understanding. I'll try to get more information next week. How's that? Or 2 weeks from now when we're back.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
Russ is in the bathroom like that scene in Dumb and Dumber right now. That's why he had to run away.
Yeah, right. Did you know about that though? Let me ask you this. Were you looking that up because had you ever heard that before about the iron in there, or were you just trying to see if there was information about it? That article you
No,
found?
I had never heard
You
about
never.
that.
Okay.
It's not
Yeah.
something that I would typically eat either way. I
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
know that sometimes when people eliminate carbs altogether
Mm.
and they're not properly, arranging for the rest of their diet, they end up with iron deficiencies. So
Yeah. Okay.
did know that they do fortify these things with iron and know exactly how. But that's not something that they typically. It's not something that they typically eat. I'm not a cereal guy or anything like that.
Yeah, and I don't know that it's bad for you. I just don't know that it's the same nutrient value as what you'd get out of food, regular food. But I'll look into it a little more. Denise had a question. Philly Chris, I saw alien cereal. Does that count? That's some of the healthiest stuff out there, Denise, if you can get a hold of it. Usually you want to go to the grocery store in your TR3B, which has the gravitational propulsion system, and then it's a lot easier to get home with your groceries and you spend less on gas. But probably
Is
be more
Russ
to
back from the bathroom? Dumb and Dumber style.
I'm drinking
And
coconut juice.
He's like, Russ, that toilet doesn't flush.
Anytime,
He's
Denise.
not
Well,
back
I'll
yet.
let you take it
He's
over,
still in
Mike.
there.
Mike and Russ. I'll let you
He's
guys
still-
take it over. But because
No.
Why me?
no,
Why me?
okay, guys, because everything's in the doc. I told you. But anyway, I just wanted to set the platform that there has been major controversy over Candace Cameron Bure, the Full House star.
Bore.
Oh, yeah?
Bure, DJ
Bore.
Tan.
Her husband. She's married to Valerie Bore, right? The hockey player or the former hockey player.
I think it's Bure, Mike.
It genuinely doesn't matter.
Okay, can we
Pavel
please?
Bore and Valerie Bore, the hockey players.
I got to get this out in like 20 seconds. So basically, she has moved to GAC, Great American Family Channel. And before this became a controversy, I was excited, didn't even know. In fact, I posted on my Instagram stories that I was excited for the Christmas season for Candace Cameron's movies. I love them on usually Hallmark. But I heard recently that she changed channels, and I kind of had a hunch why. But she wanted to go more faith-based movies. So I actually posted on my stories yesterday or the day before yesterday, and I just said, "Oh, I'm excited for the Christmas season and the movies." But now she's on GAC TV, so I'll have to download that app. Well, I had no idea what was coming. It was a Philly Chris moment, but apparently the next day, Candace Cameron is she's being totally canceled and beyond. She's being called a bigot, a
Oh,
homophobic,
wow. Oh, my gosh.
and beyond. And they are coming for her because she did technically leave, and so she did an interview with Washington Post, and I posted the article in the doc, and basically she just explained her reasons for leaving. She wanted more faith-based. She didn't really touch on too many things. She just kind of said that, but the way they put it out, they really twisted it a little bit and basically made it seem like she was anti-LGBT, all that. And so they all, they feel left out. They feel it's bigot, and it's sparked this thing. If you look on Twitter, it's been trending for at least 48 hours. They are going for her. I put a lot of the tweets in the doc. There is some support, obviously, but Mike, take it away because I know it sparked a lot in you. But she did leave for that reason, and the question is, they're basically saying, she's a bigot because of that, and nothing new. But if there's a lot to it, so.
Well, they
All
tend
right.
to throw that stuff around, don't they?
So this article that they put out, you're saying that they really cut it up to make
No,
it.
so you show the article, and then you can show she responded.
How long is the article? Is it short enough that we can read it on the air, or not really?
It's just, you could read like the beginning of it. It basically says traditional marriage is what she spoke of. She's leaving because I guess Hallmark. She just said traditional marriage. She didn't even talk about the movies.
Out of Claremore, Oklahoma, Candace Cameron Bure is on a fake snow-covered set shooting a church scene for her new holiday movie, A Christmas Present. When it comes time for her character to feel the sudden presence of God, A tech guy stands on a ladder, wiggling 2 plates of glass in front of a light to create a shimmering effect on her upturned face. The crew uses black electrical tape to outline the church's stained glass cross so it will pop on screen. Mrs. Bore works herself into tears for each take, asking the crew to play an emotional Christmas song again and again so she stays in the mood. Mrs. Bore isn't just selling a made for TV moment, but a Christian epiphany for the masses. Scroll down, Russ. In recent years, the actress has reigned as the secular Christmas rom-com queen of the Hallmark Channel, but earlier this year, she left the TV movie giant for a more sweeping role at Great American Family, an upstart cable channel that is positioning itself as the God and Country alternative for holiday entertainment. My heart wants to tell stories that have more meaning and purpose and depth behind them, said Mrs. Bore, who is 46 years old. I knew that people behind Great American Family were Christians that loved the Lord and wanted to promote faith programming and good family entertainment. Christmas movies on the small screen represent a booming business generating at least $500 million in ad revenue each year, according to industry analysts. These days, the genre that Hallmark's pioneered is everywhere, from major streaming platforms like Netflix to more niche channels like the Food Network and HGTV. While the movies may differ, most share an abiding reluctance to dwell on Christianity. Great American Family enters the scene with the opposite point of view. With a name that conquers red state pride and content that embraces faith, the channel is presenting itself as the choice for Christians who think Hollywood is ruining Christmas. Mrs. Bore, a former child star best known as DJ Tanner from Full House, is the religious influencer who serves as its face. I don't see anything controversial here yet.
There was a traditional marriage part.
Well, I think that Liberty's pointing out how
No, this
they're
is
just going after this
no,
stuff.
guys.
Right?
This has turned. She said traditional. This has turned into an all-out hate campaign that she. I mean, it's been going all day for 48 hours. It's bad. She said something about traditional. I'm not just bringing this up as like a small story. This is huge.
Yeah.
So what is the problem? What is their problem on the left with what she said? What did she say? Do we have the exact quote? I mean, we got the article. Russ, can you control F traditional marriage or something? I mean, help me out here, pal.
Producer. Bumpy patch in her marriage. Huh?
That ain't it.
Guys, I'm working with a very tiny screen that's very pixely. Traditional marriage.
Okay. All right. So here it is. Next month, Hallmark debuts The Holiday Sitter, a G-rated network's first original holiday film solely based on... Go up a little bit. Great American Family pushes both Mr. Abbott and Mrs. Bore deeper into culturally conservative territory as other networks are taking steps to trumpet diversity. Next month, Hallmark debuts The Holiday Sitter, the G-rated network's first original holiday film solely focused on an LGBT love story. Asked if she expects her new channel to feature same-sex couples as leads in holiday movies, Mrs. Bore said, "No, I think that Great American Family will keep traditional marriage at the core." So that's the problem?
Yes.
Is it a Christian station?
Yes.
So these people have a problem that a Christian station will not have movies featuring gay marriage. That's the issue.
Yes, it's because Hallmark. It's a known thing that Hallmark just went to including LGBT in their movies, and she left the network. I think it was last year, but it's basically this article pinned it. This article started this paragraph. So that's what happened, and they took it as you are against,
So what's their proposed alternative? That you force Christian stations to put movies you force a Christian station to make movies about...
Well, go ahead and read I scroll down in the doc. I put all the responses. I put responses from people and what they're saying.
Okay. This should be interesting.
I need a quick facility break. I'll be right back after these words. Hey now.
All right.
first put her response, what she had to respond, and then you could put all the attacks. I laid it out in the doc pretty well, so
Okay, so is
that's
this?
her response.
These are screenshots.
Mike, read it.
Yeah, I cannot see that on. Let me see. Okay. I would like to address my comments on Great American Families programming as reported in the Wall Street Journal. All of you who know me know beyond question that I have great love and affection for all people. It absolutely breaks my heart that anyone would ever think I intentionally would want to offend and hurt anyone. It saddens me that the media is often seeking to divide us, even around a subject as comforting and merry as Christmas movies. But given the toxic climate in our culture right now, I shouldn't be surprised. We need Christmas more than ever. I am a devoted Christian, which means I believe that every human being bears the image of God. Because of that, I am called to love all people, and I do. If you know me, you know that I am a person who loves fiercely and indiscriminately. My heart yearns to build bridges and bring people one step closer to God, to love others as well, and to simply be a reflection of God's huge love for all of us. To the members of the media responsible for using this opportunity to fan flames of conflict and hate, I have a simple message. I love you anyway. To those who hate what I value and who are attacking me online, I love you. To those who have tried to assassinate my character, I love you. To everyone reading this, any race, creed, sexuality, or political party, including those who have tried to bully me with name calling, I love you. I have long wanted to find a home for more faith based programming. I am grateful to be an integral part of a young and growing network. I had also expressed in my interview, which was not included, that people of all ethnicities and identities have and will continue to contribute to the network in great ways, both in front of and behind the camera, which I encourage and fully support. I've never been interested in proselytizing through my storytelling, but in celebrating God's greatness in our lives through the stories I tell. Is that it? Wow, this is a long statement, man. The God we serve is wildly creative and loving God. He didn't just capture a small part of my heart, he has captured all of my heart. He will be reflected in everything I do and say, in my family, my work, and my interactions with people from all walks of life. God's love and God's compassion is front and center. All that comes from the love that God himself showered upon humanity when he gave the gift of joy and forgiveness on the first Christmas morning 2,000 years ago. It's why I love Christmas stories and sharing true joy and true peace with millions of people around the world. And in the sole motivation of pure love, I hope you'll join me in sharing God's hope for all the world, for all the world this Christmas season. Call that my Christmas wish. Candace Cameron Bory. Now here's the comments. Candace Cameron Bory's comments regarding the LGBT. Yeah. LGBTQ plus community are not opinions. Me saying raisins are disgusting and tastes like cow turd, that's an opinion. Not wanting to see gay people find love in a TV movie because you feel they have some sort of agenda makes you an a-hole. What? What did she say?
I
It's
have
again.
no idea what would even prompt this. Oh, that's a strange photo. Hang on.
Okay, Candace Cameron Bure has left the Hallmark Channel because it depicts LGBTQ romances, which Candace says aren't Christian. Her next movies on the evangelical titles will include Ava and Adolf, Christmas in Berlin, A Caucasians Only Clan Christmas, and A Militia Called Love. Wow. So is it against the law you're a bigot if you have your own religion now? If you have religious beliefs, that makes you Hitler if you have religious beliefs?
I think so. I think that's what it means.
I'm pretty sure the problem here is they don't like that a Christian channel is promoting Christian values from a Christian, and that's why people think it's bigoted.
Oh, well, the problem is she's not saying that, hey, I don't think this should be allowed on any TV anywhere. She's not saying that.
She's just saying, hey, I don't want to be involved in this.
She's
So
saying on a Christian channel that they're gonna put something that's against their religion. I'm not saying that it shouldn't be. That's the difference between people on the left, right? The people on the left, unless you affirmatively put what they want on your television, they want you canceled, right?
Seems to be the way it's gone. Yeah. That's
I don't
what
even
the
think
Now
rumor
you
is.
have an affirmative duty to put what they want to see on your channel that they're not going to watch anyhow, right?
Yeah. Well, they'll
Seems
probably
pretty
watch it to
simple.
make sure you're doing
All
what they
these
want,
people
yeah.
that are canceling her are not going to watch these Christian movies anyhow, right? If you believe that being a Christian makes you Adolf Hitler, like that one person suggested in the tweet, then you're probably not going to be watching these movies.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably watch it just to make sure she doesn't do it again.
They'll probably watch it just because they're a glutton for I want to do whatever makes me miserable.
Yeah.
These people go out of their way to do this. I don't think it's a left and right thing. I think it's just people are stupid and they want their own misery perpetuated.
Could be part of it.
I'm not saying those are mutually exclusive to left and right, but yeah, you have to be a special kind of stupid to want your own misery promoted and be like, oh, this thing that I hate, I think I'm gonna go watch it.
Yeah. Well,
Just to make sure that I hate it so much. No,
based on the comments online on these social media platforms, it seems to be the case for a lot of people.
I don't see anything that says mean or rude or hurtful because, listen, I get on people just as much when Christian folks say things that are uncalled for, right?
Yeah.
Did we
I
lose
see.
everybody?
I see.
Sure.
I see well, there's some crazy stuff out there too, but you probably know how to keep yourself from going too far, I guess.
All right, let's get these tweets off the screen, Russ, so
All
we could
right,
actually
sounds
see
good,
each
yeah.
other and know when we're actually talking, and I know if
Right.
anybody else is out there.
Hello.
No, 'cause,
Is there anybody out there?
listen, if you're going to make Christian movies and have a Christian channel, there's going to be a lot of things that aren't allowed that, you know, people in society don't necessarily think is a bad thing. I presume they're not going to allow unmarried couples living together on the Christian movies too, right? Heterosexual couples who are unmarried and having relations out of wedlock, they're not going to have those in the Christian movies either. Nobody's saying that should be illegal, right?
Right.
You're not allowed to have your own religious beliefs anymore.
I mean, it seems like we're getting closer and closer to it, I suppose. I mean, we are, but, people are getting pretty up in arms about it. Don't you think?
It's got to unfollow because of the intentional exclusion of the LGBTQIA plus community. The intentional exclusion. What do you expect from a Christian movie?
I also think a part of it, because you see a lot, there's probably a lot of churches that make an exception for, for gay folks. They're like, oh yeah, that's totally fine. And they're taught that it's totally fine. And
Yeah, but if you're,
and so it might be a skewed vision of Christianity that, okay, this is accepted now, and then she's not accepting it, then that might be part of what's throwing this off. That's just a thought of mine. I have nothing to back that up.
there's a big difference between saying something is against my religion and saying, oh, nobody in the world should be allowed to do that, and we think poorly of you because you do that and all this other stuff.
Yeah, you can love our gay, brothers and sisters, love them because the Bible definitely says to love. But
Absolutely.
God said what he said in the Bible, and so that's what she's
Friends and family members, very, very close friends and family members who are gay.
Right.
I'm not going to lie and say that it's not against my religion. This is America. People could make their own decisions. But you can't expect somebody to, not have their religious beliefs because it upsets you.
And it's
Well,
not, and that's what she really said. She just said, I like Scott said, I think she said, I think they're going to stick with traditional marriage. It's literally all she said. It was just saying the traditional caused an outrage. Like she's Hitler. It's a lot.
yeah, but
And
everyone's
really,
What?
really,
Well, would they do that? Would they say the same thing about heterosexual couples who are unmarried and having relations? Maybe they have children outside of wedlock. Would they say the same thing that no, now on your Christian station, because there are families out there where the parents aren't married, you're excluding them and you're making them feel bad because they're not on your
Mhm.
television
I
program?
love my gay family members and friends, and it's just that God wrote certain things in the Bible, and I'm the same way. I'm more passionate. There's a lot of Christians who are more passionate about teaching against different sins. My passion is more of like against adultery. Because I'm very much for the family, but I think it's frustrating as a Christian.
Yeah, like are they gonna put? They have to put a show on about a guy who falls in love with the maid.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just think,
plus we're all sinners.
listen,
We're
we're all
all equally sinners,
Oh no,
right?
I'm
I'm
right
just
there
making a
with
point. I'm
you.
not going
We
against
don't.
what you're. Yeah, I'm
We
just
don't.
making a point, right? Like this is
That's what I'm
why for
saying.
me
We got friends and
personally,
family members who
yeah,
love them very much. Don't love
right,
them any less.
yeah. And you're not
But you
judging them.
can't.
You're not
But you
judging
can't
them.
ask me
No.
to.
Yeah.
You can't ask a Christian station.
Well, I think it shows, where we're
Demand.
at.
It's not even ask. It's demanding. That's what they're doing. They're
That's an interesting
demanding
point.
that they
Right.
don't have their own religious beliefs. They're demanding
Because
but
they want
it's
it
not
their
going to make
way.
it. It's not going to make any difference because if you're upset about that and you want to force this kind of programming onto the channel, you weren't going to watch it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm still going to watch Hallmark. There are some people who literally will boycott it because of it. I'm not that way because I truly believe you're not going to. God, I mean, the whole purpose, if you are going to talk about Jesus, the whole purpose is to bring people to know Jesus as their Lord and Savior. That's our whole purpose on the earth. And I always think you're not going to get through to people if you just shun them off. And Jesus really did sit with the sinners. And it's just the only problem with that is that a lot of gay people I know, which is the controversy in their mind, is that, why are you calling my lifestyle a sin, essentially? And that's where the real nitty gritty comes. And I just always say, I think God, God knows best. He made the.
I had a friend where his brother said you can't call it a lifestyle now either. So
Well,
it's
What is
I
it?
a
think,
little bit of
I
a
think
minefield.
God wrote
Hmm.
the Bible because he knows what's best for us. I know divorce causes generational heartbreak for generations. And that's why the Bible talks about not divorcing. And so I think that the gay, being gay, with it comes a lot of heartbreak, and you can't produce children that way. And I just think God knows best. And so I think that's why it's in there. And but I love my gay people in my life very much. And so it's just one of these things that we have to deal with here on earth.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Well
I think
said.
one of the words that is thrown around quite a lot is hate. And I personally don't hate anybody. What I do hate is something like Windows updates. I would never group a fellow human in the category of Windows updates.
Yeah.
That's,
It takes more
is-
vision.
that
Like
is
it
the
made me think
worst.
of Billy Chris, actually. Like the media just literally
They're doing this on
Well,
purpose, man. They're doing this on purpose, man.
By
It's
design,
all
I'm
by
telling you.
design.
It is by
It's by design. I'm
Christians
telling you.
versus
It's
Christians
not.
versus the LGBT.
How many coincidences could there be?
Oh my
You
gosh.
know?
It's
Well,
getting exhausting, to be honest.
Mhm. Well, yeah, they want it to be. They want to wear you down, right?
My
We
head
didn't have very
hurts.
many comments. I guess this is not a
I'm
hot
calling
topic
it a night.
for our base.
Yeah.
Calling it a night. Good night, everybody.
Peace and love,
I got a
everybody.
headache. I got a headache from this. From nonsense.
Oh, you broke up
You
there.
don't
What was that?
like the show, don't watch the show. I got a headache from this nonsense. You don't like the show,
Yeah.
don't watch the show.
Well, that's not good enough. They need to tell you how the show should be, even though they're still not going to watch it. Right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Wait, hold on. We're not having a Thanksgiving show. We got to end on something happier. Jeez.
Let's all maybe say something we're thankful
Oh,
for.
everybody talk about something you're thankful for. Everybody in the comments say something you're thankful for, and then we'll go around the room here tonight. So start with you, Philly Chris. What are you thankful
Start with
for?
me. I'm thankful for all of you and our listeners and the opportunity to be here. And I'm just amazed that people are willing to spend their time tuning in and listening to us. And I love every bit of it. So thank you all for the experience that is the Mike G in the Morning Show, and my family and friends and everybody else. Peace and love.
What about you, Liberty? What are you thankful for?
Actually, I'm just going to follow Philly Chris. I'm genuinely thankful for the show. I really am, because I love the listeners, and I have been through some tough times the past few years, and I always look forward to this.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thankful for it. And also, of course, God and Jesus.
Mm.
How about you, Russ? What are you thankful for?
Well, I'm thankful for a number of things. A number of things that have happened this past year in particular, some of which are kind of personal that I can't really say on the show. I'll tell you guys after the show. But one thing is I'm thankful that Philly Chris was not crushed by that tree earlier this year.
Mm.
Aw.
Well,
Yeah.
thanks, Russ. I appreciate that.
I'm thankful none of us.
Are you kidding? That would have been hysterical. You know what kind of
The show would have gone viral.
Yeah.
I would have been gone, but hey, it would have been good for the show.
You know how many views we would have gotten out of that one?
Right. Next year I'll work on it.
Well, but yeah, I'm thankful for that there were a lot of people in my life that have almost perished, but have not, and I'm thankful that they are still alive today. That's all I can really say at this point, as far as like the show goes.
Okay.
Nice.
It seems like a pretty low bar, Russ. I'm thankful that some of the people I loved have not died yet.
Yeah. I just love Russ.
Well, it sounds really like you went through something. So, we're with you, Russ, for sure.
The two top answers so far have been thankful for top three answers. Seems like there's a running theme. We all seem to be very thankful, because we're seeing in the comments, thankful for Jesus, thankful for that Trump is running again, thankful for the Mike G in the Morning family,
thankful for flip phones.
There we go.
Yeah, we are.
I am thankful for flip phones too, because when they tried to sell me another smartphone to walk around with for the emergency line, I was not having it. Said you have to have something smaller back there, because I'm not carrying around two of these things.
Yeah, that was a good move.
I'm thankful for the opportunity to.
Sorry, I was going to say thankful for 2-week-old news.
We have aliens coming in?
I think Liberty was just on the Death Star or something. She sounded like Darth Vader for a second.
Yeah, what was going on there? Liberty's like, I'm thankful for getting abducted.
Right.
I'm getting abducted.
It finally happened. Yeah. It's finally happened.
Flip phones are eventually going to make a comeback. I have my flip phone from like 2010, and that thing, the battery lasts like a week.
Yeah, they are great.
Liberty,
they should make a comeback.
How is the abduction?
Help me! I'm on Mars.
Don't consent to any probes.
What's it like on Mars?
Philly Chris was right.
Philly Chris is thankful that Liberty proved him right.
Thank you. I'm thankful for that. Do you have your Neuralink in?
Another wrong. He avoided another wrong prediction.
Did I?
Yeah. By Liberty getting abducted.
Oh, I missed it. Damn it.
Christadamus.
There we go. I'll work on it for next year.
Christmas.
Oh, Joe Beer Mercer is funny.
Could be Santa Claus.
Mike, read the comment.
I am thankful for Absolutely nothing. No, I'm just kidding.
Woo! Nice.
I'm thankful for nothing and nobody.
Forget it.
No, I think everybody said the things that I'm mostly thankful for. Thankful for Jesus, number one. Thankful for family. Thankful for. I am definitely thankful that Trump's running again. If for nothing else other than the entertainment aspect.
Yeah, it'll be
It's just-
entertaining.
It'll
Oh,
definitely
it'll
be
be fun.
entertaining. And I'm
Mhm.
thankful,
Sure it's
obviously, for the opportunity to get on here with the Mike G and the Morning Family, everybody who joins us every week,
Hmm.
where I get to come on here and voice my thoughts and ideas that I've got to keep suppressed for the other 6 days and 22 hours of the week, right?
Right, right.
Because you can't walk around just talking about these topics in everyday life.
No, it's
I could talk about guns with my clients, but if I start getting into, can you believe they're killing all the babies? All right, dude.
Oh, you got a problem with that?
Can't even have your own religion. Can't even have your religious beliefs anymore.
Right,
All right,
right.
dude, shut up.
So true.
Just give me my gun rights back. There we go.
Yeah.
All right. That's all time we've got for today. Stick around for We the People, the Constitution Matters. Pastor David Whitney, Professor Philadelphia. I'll be joining as your legal analyst. We miss you, Ellie. Daddy loves you.